What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Westeros. You are here for episode 9 of A Sea of Spears, our Song of Ice and Fire role playing game. It's like episode 12 if you count our multiple session zeros. But more importantly, we are still embroiled in intrigue, adventure, and the never ending quest for glory in the streets, pavilion tents, and tourney lanes of King's Landing. As the young scions of House Nymerian are here at the personal and rather forceful invitation of King Robert Baratheon. And we're gonna check in on everybody, continue with the third round of the joust, and see what other kind of trouble they get into. How are we doing today, Felicia? Who's your character? How's your character? Who are you? How are you? And you decide who introduces next. Go.
Hello, I'm Felicia Zimmerman, and I play Rhaena Nymerian. I am the heir to House Nymerian in the tradition of Dorne, which is where our house is. Uh, I am not the most people-y person that we have, but I am also eh, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm definitely the most arrogant out of all of us, but but the only thing I've done this week is I
That's a
lost
good
in
perception.
the horsemanship contest, but I did win a duel of honor in front of the king to solve uh, an issue where we have been accused of killing small folk of our neighbors. And since might makes right in Westeros, and I won, then we obviously didn't do it. We didn't, but you know. um, and then below me is my twin sister Bela, who was born only moments behind, and she is my martial right hand. So go, Erica.
Yeah, that's right. I'm Erica, and I play Bela Nymerian. I am second heir to the house Nymerian, a few minutes as the youngest of us. And I am the little bit more martial of the two. And speaking of which, I am attempting in just a little bit later today to make it into the top 8 of the joust at King's Landing. So like this is like a big event. So like that would be really awesome. I'm definitely overmatched though, so I
Yeah,
I definitely need
who's
help.
in your who's in between you and the top 8? I don't remember.
I don't remember at least one Kingsguard, probably an
Yes.
additional one if I
Uh,
win this match.
it is the Kingsguard Knight Sir Meryn Trant that is Lady Bela's next opponent. So fans of the show and books will recognize him as an enormous dickbag, and also, uh, but a rather dangerous member of the Kingsguard. So Lady Bela just might need some help with that.
Yeah.
Bela, who's up next?
Let's go with my younger brother Luke, who is not here. So instead, we'll go to the even younger brother, Adam.
Hello, um, I'm Ash. I play Adam Nymerian, who's the youngest of the 4 siblings and manages to combine being quite gregarious with being extremely socially awkward. I think. Has
Yes.
enjoyed recent success in the archery contest and middling success in the betting on the other members of the house.
And that leaves the ward of House Nymerian. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing fantastic, Russell. How are you?
I'm just
Uh,
fine.
so I'm playing Vannon Rivers, the bastard of the Blackwoods and the Brackens, rival houses of the Riverlands with an old feud. Bastards may come last in introduction, but this one came in first in the horse race.
Oh yeah. Boop, boop.
So,
Nice.
which, by the way, should not have happened. That was a lot of lucky rolls and fortune favoring the bold. But I got a Sandsteed and 35 gold dragons, which is frankly nothing compared to what I've been making on the betting. So
I lost 10 gold on that.
your faith is appreciated. So
I want that fancy.
I get it. I didn't have faith in me either. But yes, so it's at this point just curious why there could be an arranged marriage for a ward that nobody likes.
Nobody.
You know,
Come on.
We like
I,
you.
I'm sure
well,
Oris at least has a middling opinion of you.
how can you tell?
I
Middling.
don't know.
Oris
He
is
shrugs.
very talkative. Which will then lead to my turn as GM. We are filling in without Robert this week, though he is in chat. He is not actually at his computer. He is AFK, returning from some family vacation-y stuff. We were hoping to get Robert and with him Sir Lucaris Nymerian, firstborn son of House Nymerian, back later this episode. So there might be some technical issues mid-episode as Erica hurriedly plays a shell game with all of our pictures in the framework. So don't worry, you're not having a stroke. Twitch is not breaking. At some point later this episode, everything's going to get shuffled around as we try to work with OBS and Discord and Twitch and get Robert in on the call with Sir Lucaris, who is the first Nymerian to stumble here in the tournament for the Princess Marcella's name day. When we left off 2 weeks ago, it was with Lucaris being battered out of the saddle and hammered pretty hard by his opponent in the joust. Which, again, there's no shame in losing to Sir Vardis Egan, captain of the household guard in the Vale of Erin. You know, if you gotta lose, the longer title someone's got, the better. So, he
Next
got
note.
yeah, exactly. You're like, yeah, make sure I don't lose to a hedge knight, because then it's just Sir Blah of the gutters, and like that's not.
Oh no, I was thinking the other
But-
way around. I was thinking
Well,
of
yeah, that too.
making my title longer.
Yeah, that way people are more impressed when they lose to you. But you gotta earn titles. You gotta earn
What?
nicknames.
No,
It
I
says Westeros.
propose we lengthen the name of our castle to something extraordinarily long.
That would work, but remember that sometimes you're supposed to yell it in fights, and then like you have to make
Oh,
stamina
crap.
checks to not be out of breath. So we left off with
Never stretched up the too long name.
and just on and on and on. But we left off with Sir Vardis Egan whooping on Lucaris Nymerian in a hard-fought bout. And then some of the maesters took Lucaris off at the partial insistence of Sir Aaron Santigar, Master-at-Arms of the Red Keep, and the knight under whom Sir Lucaris trained. They were concerned about the fall and the ensuing beating, and he has been whisked away while affably waving and reassuring you all that he's fine and his helmet did his work, and looking about 10 feet off to the left while trying to wave reassuringly to you all. So he's concussed and has been escorted off the field. The other prominent character that is not one of the players that has been introduced is Oris Waters, who is serving as a squire to the house during this trip to King's Landing. He is the squire to a hedge knight, and we've been slowly unfolding his bastard parentage. Some player characters have already made a few guesses, but they're starting to get some confirmations on some stuff dealing with Oris, who is also rocking and rolling his way through the Squire's Joust, which conveniently gives House Nymerian another chance to gamble with pretty favorable odds with the open-handed and disgustingly wealthy Illyrio Mopatis, magister from the faraway lands in Essos, who has been cheerfully throwing literally a king's ransom at House Nymerian at times. Kind of no matter how much you guys bet, he's taking the bet. No matter which side you wager on in these jousts and stuff, he will cheerfully cover it and win or lose his unflappable good mood is rather disconcerting in, in King's Landing. Somebody of such reliable good cheer is perhaps up to no good, especially when they're losing tons of money.
Yeah,
But
but I mean, he's from Essos. He's weird.
yeah, there's no telling. Like maybe it's a thing that they like over there. Maybe he bet somebody back home how much money he'd lose here in Westeros. There's no telling. Those crazy associate fools.
Trick is
Every
That
try to
coin,
give all your money away as quickly as possible.
Yeah, to win
Every-
to win a bet.
every coin lost in this world is a brick in your castle in the next. I don't know.
That
Which-
sounds nice, though.
Which brings me to one last character to introduce, and that is sitting right over my head, of course, the infamous Iron Throne of Song of Ice and Fire fame and also infamy. You can take the Iron Throne by pitching in cheers and likes and subscriptions and bits and all that good Twitch made up money. That's made of real money, but we appreciate it because that's what keeps the show going and lets us do neat stuff. Every time that the Iron Throne is seized by losing 500 hit points, you get a destiny point, which is a major mechanical benefit in the Song of Ice and Fire RPG that we are playing here, thanks to Green Ronin. So you get a destiny point that you can then give to any player character or non-player character of your choice. It can be a friend to the house, it can be a member of the house, it can be an enemy of the house, it can be whomever you like. You'll give them a destiny point, which has some real mechanical benefits, and we're getting to the late stages of the joust where those destiny points are
Yeah.
very important to the potential success of player characters, or to letting NPCs turn the tables on these no good rapscallions of House Nymerian. Whoever has the Iron Throne at the end of an episode gets to speak to me in private and give a royal boon to the house of their choice. And we've got some royal boons that have been cashed in recent weeks that are probably going to come to light this week with some plot narrative-y goodness that will advance the standing or do some small narrative favor that grants a surprise opportunity to members of whatever house gets selected. So, we have met the PCs, we have met a couple NPCs, we have heard all about the Iron Throne
Yes,
that
and
everybody's fighting over. And what else we got, Erica? What I forget?
and do remember to sit on that throne now before it becomes a smoldering pile of burned and melted metal.
Which may or may not happen in our Westeros.
Yeah.
Only time and every other Sunday afternoon will
Yes,
tell.
dear viewer. Remember, our Westeros is different Westeros. Not
That
sarcastic.
said, yeah, it is a little different. We're starting a little earlier. We're starting with a different perspective, and the timeline has been tweaked in little ways that the player characters are kind of uncovering a little at a time. But let us get right back into the action shortly after Lucaris is escorted off the small folk roar their approval because trotting into place atop his proud destrier is fan favorite, both in and out of character, Sir Garland the Gallant. Garland Tyrell, second-born son of Highgarden, and just
And
general
so
poopy.
dreamy.
He is a handsome fellow, a little bit more masculine and traditionally knightly looking than his beautiful younger brother, Sir Loras Tyrell, but reputed to be even better with a sword than the famed tourney knight Sir Loras. And so far, he has not disappointed. Sir Garland has been every inch the courteous and gallant knight with members of House Nymerian, and also every inch the dashing cavalier here on the tourney fields, where he has made short work of several opponents. And his next one is Sir Andrew Charlton, who is frankly a knight that people have kind of been surprised to see make it into the third round. He overcame the stocky and powerfully built Badger of Sir Lord Lewis Liddon, and then he beat Sir Creighton Redfort, a knight of the Vale of no small repute. But Sir Andry is generally known for just being kind of a reliable but unremarkable knight, whereas Sir Garland Tyrell is renowned for being a remarkable knight. So he is the clear favorite here, and the crowd just adores any of the dashing cavaliers of Highgarden. Um, the House Tyrell, of course, is known for their generosity. Small folk love them. There's really favorable odds that Sir Garland is going to take this. But regardless of all that, players update that Google Doc and get your bets placed. Illyrio Mopatis will just as blithely and cheerfully back any bet you place on this one, even given the lopsided nature of this joust.
Even 100 gold dragons?
A trifling sum to wager with a lass as beautiful as you.
Okay, I'm not quite that bold though.
But you thought about it.
I did. I'll go for 1/10 of that.
All right, so wagers are in. The surprise of this round is that it does take 5 passes. To Sir Andrew Charlton's credit, he shatters his lance on every pass. But from the second on, he is clearly struggling and flailing and pinwheeling in the saddle, as opposed to the redoubtable Sir Garland, who keeps his seat with aplomb and grace. And so, after the 5th pass, Sir Garland Tyrell surprises few by advancing into the top 8 of the tournament. And Sir Andrew Charlton does not contest the battle afoot. He graciously accepts his defeat, salutes his gallant opponent, and walks off the field to the cheer of the small folk, and an uproarious "Ha! Well struck!" from King Robert in the royal box.
Yay,
All
Garland!
right.
Safe money. Big bet.
I should have gone for the 100.
Right?
Which
Yeah, I
brings
kinda wish I
us
hadn't hedged my bets now.
which brings us to the next bout of the day, where Bela doesn't see a white and gold enameled knight in a white cloak with a stark white shield being walked out onto the field, because Bela is his opponent, so she is still strapping on the last of her armor and being helped onto the field by Oris. But first onto the tourney grass is Sir Marin Trant of the King's Guard. He is being escorted by one of the golden-haired squires to King Robert. Excuse me. Tyrek Lannister is currently pouring the king some wine, so it is young Lancel Lannister, his cousin, that is guiding out Marin Trant's horse, and Sir Marin kind of snatches the lance from him in a dickish kind of way, because not many people respect Lancel, and Marin Trant doesn't respect many people, so the odds of those Venn diagrams overlapping is slim to none. So you can see he's a jerk even to this squire that is on loan. But coming out opposite him on the other end of the tourney lane, led by the looming young Oris, serving as your squire, who has his long black hair pulled back in a ponytail, no helmet, but is otherwise armored up and ready for the squire's joust to continue this afternoon. But he helps lead out the bold Lady Bela atop her war-trained steed. Bela, give us a quick description of your armor again.
Okay.
How badass do you look compared to this gold imposing statue of a Kingsguard knight?
So I'm not like gold and shiny, but I look pretty awesome in my own regard. I have burgundy armor, which is stained burgundy like the wine from our region, and I have silver inlays of like a spear going straight the middle with dragons kind of like wrapping around it, and nice little design. My helmet is like a shiny red helmet that kind of comes up in the middle. It has like a facial feature on it, kind of to tell like it's a feminine type of a face mask. And the top, it has like a mohawk of like bright red plumes coming out.
You've got, is it like a feathered crested plume or like the bristly kind of Roman brush bristle?
No, it's like a
plume?
feathery plume, and it has like silver trims all around it and such.
Fancy.
So
That is
so
pretty.
it's a kind of a badass medieval Captain Marvel with her mohawk look, all done
Yes.
up in House Nymerian colors,
Mhm.
leaving no doubt to your opponent that they have been trounced by a woman,
Exactly.
even as you are still trouncing them. So yeah, that works, and it's a stark contrast to the gold and white of Sir Marin, the bolder colors of House Nymerian, and the kind of featureless helmet that Kingsguard knights wear that's made for them to kind of look anonymous and uniform with each other, and instead here's bold and brassy Lady Bela like, nope, fuck you, I am me. So yeah, it's a pretty cool snapshot that somebody could set as a screensaver on their PC desktop when this episode airs someday on
Like he
HBO.
has
Yeah.
on his computer.
Fannin, did you have
So-
something?
Just please remember, you don't. If you do unseat him, you don't have to get off your horse and accept the challenge. You can just be like, la di da, trot trot trot, money.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Because he's Sir Marin the
Don't.
Dickish, and maybe he doesn't deserve it.
You're recommending I don't fight with my spear?
Well, I'm
No.
saying, I'm just reminding you
Hmm.
that if you're afraid and you just want to advance.
Afraid?
Yeah,
You think I would be
You said
afraid?
no.
I think it's really good that this is an out of character instead of in character conversation, because if not,
Well,
we be getting Sir Vannon stabbed right now.
no, Vannon is just like,
Humph.
oh God, I hope
Let-
he doesn't die. Kill him, kill him. Oh God, please
I
don't
turn the
die.
horse
Kill him,
around
he's
and get in
alive.
position. Humph.
That was out of character.
Alright.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I was I was reacting in character. It's fine. No, out of character, yes. Thank you for the reminder.
So, by default, because King Robert likes fighting on his own 2 feet, he does allow the jousts at his tourney. Sorry, the Princess Marcella's named a tourney. Jousts can be kind of refuted on foot. There's an advantage given to the knight that keeps their saddle, in that they don't take armor bypassing damage as they crash out of the saddle, but also like they get automatic initiative in the ensuing rounds. But you're not obliged to meet your opponent on foot. If you think that you've beat them well enough on horse, and if your reputation versus their reputation, etc., like if you're willing to go, no, I'm not going to give you a rematch on foot, then you don't have to. So, let's see how that plays out. So, Bela, let's assemble your big fat handful of dice while PCs get their bets in on our Google Doc. So for this, it's going to be fighting, plus your spears specialty, plus your animal handling dice. So you're going to roll all of that,
Mhm.
and then you're going to keep fighting -1
Right.
because it's charge.
Yep.
So let's get these giant handfuls of d6s a clattering as
Oh,
you two simultaneously go at one another. The last step before those dice get rolled, make sure if you're using a
Mhm.
stance, you'll
Yes.
want to declare that.
Yes,
There's
so
some offensive and defensive options.
I'm going to declare the stance that gives me +2 to my joust roll, but a -2 to staying in the saddle. So I'll get a
fly in the
-2 on
saddle?
my ride check to maintain balance.
Right. So
Okay.
what that one is, just everybody.
Is it high in the saddle, right?
Yeah, that's the way. It's a
Okay.
very kind of aggressive stance. It's a very Bela stance.
Yeah.
So you get a bonus to hit, but you're a little bit unsteady in the saddle. Marin Trant, for those watching from the sidelines, looks to be in a neutral stance and just kind of testing his opponent with this charge.
Okay.
And please remind me, what is your passive ride?
Passive ride would be a 13.
All right, so he's looking at difficulty 13. He rolled more than that, to the surprise of few. You will be looking at a difficulty 14 as your base.
Okay. So
what is your total? And also, don't forget your modifier for that high in the.
Yep. So I'm at a 20 for the moment, and if I choose to use a destiny point I can add 4 more to that. I go to 24, which would get me an additional.
Get you the extra degree, yeah.
So I would like to do that.
Okay, so you will crash into him then with a 3 degree of success hit, which is not too shabby. He is hitting you for 2 degrees of success. Now, because it's jousting lances, tourney lances, they shatter on impact. Those extra degrees aren't going to add directly to damage.
Mm-hmm.
So you're both just taking the base damage, but it does still get the +2 from a charge. So it's animal handling +3, +2 for the charge, is the base damage of a tourney lance. That damage is not multiplied like most damage in the game.
So that is 8 for me.
Nice.
All right, so his armor will absorb that. His is 9.
Okay. So I will take
total.
1 damage from that.
Now the upside is that normally in the a joust between rounds, you are going to get to take the catch your breath action.
Right.
So 1 or 2 points you should be able to eat okay.
Yeah,
but
I'm
first,
not too worried about
we
it.
need to see who stays in the saddle.
Mm-hmm.
His 2 degree hit on you means you need to make a formidable handling test. So that's difficulty 12.
Okay.
He needs to make a difficulty 15 to stay in the saddle. But yours is going to be a little more difficult because of the aggressive high in the saddle stance. But let's roll that. And also, if your horse is castle bred, which I don't remember,
It is not.
you will get the +1 on that. Okay. Just wanted to remind you if
So
you had it.
good news is I rolled exactly the 14 that I needed.
Nice.
554.
Nice.
Nice.
All right. Both of you are looking very unsteady after that first hit. Because he rolled exactly the 15 that he needed.
So I would like to use a destiny. I'd like to use a destiny point to remove one of my opponent's dice from that test.
There we go. This is where the destiny point manipulation comes in. So on impact, you are both reeling wildly in the saddle. And as you make your way to the end of your lane, you're twisting in the saddle and looking over your shoulder, and you watch the weight of that heavy Kingsguard armor hold him, and he tumbles sidelong off his horse.
Yes.
Not far from Oris. Like he held on, and then just barely tumbled from the saddle. Without hesitation, he hurls himself to his feet and pulls his longsword and tosses the scabbard contemptuously towards Oris, while stalking back midfield towards you. What does Lady Bela do?
I'm going to ask for my spear.
Of course she is.
Spear!
All right. Oris will ignore the sheath that has been thrown at him, and instead just grabs Sunfire, the ancestral Valyrian steel blade of House Nymerian. He expertly reverses it, and gives it a jaunty little toss towards you, haft first. and Lady Bela is able to nimbly grab it and do some neat twirly shit if she wants to, as part of her cool dismounting routine,
Yep.
just like cousin Red Viper over in Martell.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the blood. So the crowd, everyone hears an intake of breath. There were a few cheers and woos from the crowd, particularly high-pitched ones. And quite a few of the women in the crowd, especially those that have ever had the displeasure of Marin Trent's company, which may be all too many of them here in King's Landing. But there seems to be a bit of a girl power movement cheering on Lady Bela. The average tenor of the cheering for her is a bit higher pitched than you notice for most, including the dreamy swoony pants Sir Garland Tyrell. But all the small folk are going crazy, cheering for Bela as he falls, and then like all of King's Landing goes and mutter as Bela takes the challenge and dismounts. So, Bela, you have initiative, and he has taken 8 points of unsoakable damage. So, the advantage is definitely yours. Let's get this fight a-going.
Yes. I'm hoping that's enough of an advantage of the early damage and me going first. So I'm just going to do the standard aim, right, which gives me an extra bonus die.
Yep, that's +1 bonus die.
All right. And then, just a regular two-handed attack with Sunfire.
Alrighty, a flurry of spear strikes tests the enamel of the Kingsguard armor. I don't know if it's a good wow or a bad wow. We'll find out.
No, I'm getting my bad roll out of the way. Oh,
no.
Wow. I have a 13.
All right. And sorry, what's your regular spear damage? So, with these attacks.
It will be 6 damage with Pierce 1.
All right. So.
Dang it. Didn't get to capitalize.
Yeah, that's the way it happens a lot. Really.
Yeah.
That said, it is not a bad flurry of strikes, and you are both well practiced at fighting heavily armored opponents, and very, very good with your exceptionally balanced ancestral spear. So you are able to jab appraisingly at some of the joints in his armor, and it could be that silver in Marin Trent's reddish beard that belies his age. It could be that he's still out of breath from his tumble off the horse, but he does kind of reel back from that attack, and you do get the feeling that he definitely felt it. So,
okay,
but
it's a
he
little
comes
bit
back at you with a large Kingsguard or castle forged sword, and with his large shield still up in a defensive posture. So 1 second.
Okay. That's not flavor. That's like defensive with the bonuses.
No, he's just
okay.
He is using a large shield,
okay,
and he is not attacking recklessly or anything.
Okay, just
he is
normal attacking. Okay.
Yes, but he's not flailing wildly, type of stuff.
Yeah.
He is a measured and professional knight.
Okay. So not like the previous opponents
that some of them have gone wildly, quickly aggressive against you.
Yeah.
He is a bit more seasoned meat. What is your combat defense?
It is 9.
Okay. That is going to be a palpable hit as he advances on you with a flurry of powerful strikes, accompanied by the occasional shield bash to just kind of block your vision and keep you from seeing the next strike, and you get hit for 15 points of damage, not counting your armor. So he wades in, swinging hard. using his weight and using his bulk in a measured and practiced flurry of blows.
Okay.
So you've got 15 points before armor and before any wounds or injuries,
All right.
which are your call to make.
I think I'm going to take 1 injury and 4 points of damage from that.
All right, and then it is your turn.
Okay. I will continue with my aim and attack. Ooh, wow. Okay, well that's a lot better.
Yay!
I have a 23.
Whoa, that is way better.
Okay, that is a
Yes.
palpable hit. He works his shield rather professionally early on and starts to throw off your whirling pattern a bit. Bad guys have destiny points too sometimes. So he's going to knock off a die of yours. It doesn't matter which one, it's going to be 1 degree either way. With where you were.
Okay.
So he's going to knock off your lowest die. That's going to get him a degree back. So that will be 1 second as I math. So you're still hitting for that with Pearson 1. So
The piercing means you ignore a point of armor.
Yes.
yeah, it lowers his armor rating by 1, which is something that Knights of the King's Guard use. They rely on that armor pretty significantly on account of knights. So this time the tip of Sunfire does come away bloody.
Oh,
You're able to get a shot in between the gap of his armor for a moment as he's reeling backwards. He parries a blow, and like one gets through. He parries a blow, one gets through. Right, like it's this flurry, and he's quicker than most of your opponents at blocking. But one of his blocks sends his sword arm out a little wider, and he's a little off balance. And you're able to get in where there's just like chainmail and Gambison, and you don't like stab him deep because it is also still just a tourney. But you get a little bit of penetration there, and you can see a little trickle of blood on the white of his King's Guard armor before he snarls, "Dornish slut!" And advances with another flurry of strikes.
Rude.
All right. Making him mad. It's gonna make a mistake. I hope.
I hope.
All right, that is gonna add up to. All right, that is another hit for 18 total.
The first one you said was 15.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Same thing. It's 15,
Okay.
not 18.
If I took away one of his dice, would it reduce that by 1? Reduce the magnitude? The degrees of success?
It would not.
Okay, well then I will.
He was actually really close to another one.
Okay.
So yeah, it's another 15 hit as he lashes out with his mass, his heavy shield, and his heavy longsword.
Okay.
Controlled but powerful strike.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to take 2 injuries on this, and then 1 point of damage. 6, okay.
All right, and then the spear is in your court.
And we're going again. Same thing. I have a 14.
All right, that is a solid 2 degrees
no.
of success hit. No, and Robert just got here, so he got here
Everything's all messed
specifically in
up.
the middle of your chest. I'm fine with us just leaving it all cockamamie for a little bit.
Okay.
Let's keep the action on the action. So that's a 2 degrees of success hit. So 6 and 12.
How far until the next degree? This
You
could be
needed
important.
3 more.
Okay, I cannot get that far.
So you are going strike for strike with him. And with this one, again, I picture Bela, and you've described her in the past as fighting in the kind of Dornish style.
Yeah. Yep.
With the lightly and nimbly, and using both ends of the spear,
Mhm.
and like we saw in the duel with the Red Viper. And so in this one, you're able to get some hits through that rebound off armor and cause some grunts of pain, but you end the kind of flurry, this combo, with spinning the spear and whacking him with the tail end of Sunfire, like a dragon lashing out with its tail. And you knock his helmet off his head as you turn and kind of spin and trot a few steps away and reset your feet just in time for him to come at you again. And you can see there's a little cut on his forehead, so his reddish beard and his eyes, though, it's creepy. Without the helmet, he looks scarier and less human. He's got these kind of disinterested, half-lidded eyes, where he's just casual, and like his mouth is snarling and he's like cursing you, but his eyes look just dead and bored, and
Dead
like there's
inside.
no actual like human feeling, but also bothering you and sometimes throwing your defense off. There's no hint of what he's going to do next. This kind of disinterested, featureless eyes. There's no like Dornish passion there, or even like the, the strong cider, your master at arms back home. Reachmen are energetic and they feel, and like there's no like feeling to this guy. So it's really
It's
almost
weird.
creepier with the helmet gone. This
He's
just
got some
kind of
crazy eyes.
flat eyes. So he comes at you. That is not a stellar roll on his part, but it is also not
You can see me.
bad. That is going to be a 19. So that's going to be 3 degrees of success. That's going to be another 15 hit.
Is there?
If you destiny point it, it will drop it to 10.
Okay. Yes, I would like to do that.
Okay.
Good call.
So yeah, he's a little bit rattling you with that, like just this weird thing where like the bottom half of his face is like snarling and spitting curses, but his eyes are just kind of appraisingly neutral at you. But you're able to recover, and it's still a palpable hit. 10 points of damage, but you feel like you're starting to get a bit of a leg up in this exchange.
Well, I hope so at this point. Good lord.
If you want me to shoot him, I can totally shoot him.
And yeah, it's back to you.
I am. Oof. Let's see. I'm looking at my damage tracks, and my only options from here on out are to take actual wounds. And so I'm trying. I think that might play into how I go about doing this. I think I might start attacking recklessly at this point to try to speed this along.
And that's fine tactical thinking. And remember, it is a tourney wound, so it will generally cover in about 24 hours. And yeah, if you're going to be taking wounds no matter what, there's maybe not much harm in the extra degree of success, from lowering your defense. So that's not a bad thought. And it also kind of feels Bela-ish, right? Like as she's getting her back to the wall, I see Bela redoubling her efforts instead of going, oh, I'm getting beat up, I should fight defensively. I see Bela as more of a, oh, I'm getting beat up, I should stab this fool.
Yeah, so fatigue is different than injuries, yes? That allows me to take an extra small action, right?
It can-
Among a few other things, yes.
Yeah, like also like ignoring armor penalties if you're hit.
Yeah, you can ignore an armor penalty or ignore one wound or all injuries for a point of fatigue. So whatever, for instance, your defense penalty is on your armor, you can ignore that for a round, which is kind of a way to get a bonus to your combat defense.
Okay.
Or if you're currently sucking up, I believe you said you're like a -3 from injuries right
Yeah.
now, you can spend 1 point of fatigue to ignore all injuries. That said, a point of fatigue functions like an injury
Yeah.
in that it's a 1.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Understood. Let's just go with an all-out attack, the reckless attack.
alrighty.
So that gives me 1 bonus die and 1 extra kept die.
Correct. So you get to roll and keep 1 extra die.
Okay. Yeah.
But you lose 5 points from your combat defense.
Correct.
Fatigue points haven't come up a whole lot yet. Mostly it's going to be that not every NPC is going to have them. The shallowest NPCs don't even really have injuries and wounds. You know, faceless bandits, they're just going to die to 1 good hit often. But then I've kind of tiered the NPCs where some of them will have destiny points and fatigue points, some of them won't. So we haven't seen a lot of the fatigue coming up. So what's our total looking like with that extra whammy going in there?
So I have 19, and I could add 3 more if that gives me an extra degree of success.
All right. You are looking this phase. He is so you're at 19 and a potential +3, correct?
Yes, potentially.
That would not get you an extra degree. Not quite. So we will stick at the 19, which is still going to be all right. 2 degrees. So all right. That one, you're able to start targeting his unarmored head, which is a part of Bela's unrelenting aggression.
Yeah.
Now that it's there, let's stab him in his ugly face. And you're actually able to get a glancing blow along the side of his scalp, just above his ear, that starts bleeding pretty good. He took a wound from that.
All right.
So
Yeah.
it's getting pretty palpable there.
Okay, good. That'll make up for the -5, hopefully.
Uh, Let's find out together. Like a
Yes.
fan.
Shall we?
Has a roll his big ol' handful of dice here. So that's that. Minus those injuries. Minus that. Da-da-da-da. Castle Forged. That is a 22. You could make it a 19 with a destiny point, but that would still be 3 degrees.
Oh, I'm gonna have to do that.
Or
then.
actually, it's 4 degrees because I forgot about your -5 combat defense. So yeah, it's 4 degrees even if
Oh,
you destiny point it.
No,
it's still
well, it doesn't matter. I don't need to use
So-
that because I'm just gonna take a wound anyhow.
Just gonna be a wound. So he comes at you pretty hard after that, and he's getting in close, using his size and his mass over you, and you guys kind of get your weapons in a bind,
Mhm.
which often you then would leverage part of your spear to get in an attack. But as soon as the bind happens, he just rakes his sword along the haft of the spear, and just like fucks up your hand with the crossguard of his sword and all his weight behind it. So it's skinning all your knuckles and you're concerned there might be a break in there somewhere, but he just gets in close and then just like goes for the digits that manipulate the spear before shoulder checking you away. But he's bleeding pretty good. You're feeling down to die from a wound, but you are up next.
I'm going to have to continue with the reckless attack in hopes that I can wear him down first, I think.
All right.
So one less die this time total. But I still get to keep the same number. Is that
Total
right?
of 5. Yeah. Or I think 5. What's your?
Yeah, it'll end up being 5.
Yeah.
I have 4 in
Yeah,
combat.
because you're gaining 1 from the reckless, losing 1 from the wound, so it's the even Steven. Or if it's a really good roll, you can spend a point of fatigue to ignore 1 wound. Like if you've got a high enough die that you would be losing, if the math checks out, you might do that.
Oh, well, do I not roll 1?
No, you still get to roll the normal dice. You just keep 1.
Oh, okay. Well, then I get to roll 1 more. Ah, dang it. Still just as low as the others. So not my best roll, but I have a 15.
Okay, that is. That's another wound on him. As you reel away from his savage attack at your hands and his shoulder check, you're able to spin with it and spin and use the length of the spear and the blade at the end of it for kind of a draw cut across the back of one of his legs. And again, it gets through some of the mail. It's not an honest, brutal, murderous strike, quite. But that is another wound that he is facing, and he does not let that stop him. He wades in for another attack.
Why won't you die?
Uh-oh. This
Well, that's
is
not a good sound.
great.
Well, I mean,
He had 7 of his dice came up 5s or 6s.
oh,
So
No.
even working out some wound penalties here, he is looking at a pretty high roll.
Yeah.
Can
Well,
I
I can
use
just-
a destiny point to make him re-roll?
If this was a swirling melee and you were both fighting him, you could potentially spend a destiny point to make him lose a die or whatever. You can't
Yeah.
force a reroll. But like if you guys were all fighting him, then yes, but you are not.
how,
So right now, he is looking at a 27 on his attack roll.
he still gets to keep that many?
Well, it's
Holy crap.
there's a reason he's keeping something that he is keeping. He's going
Well, I
pretty
mean-
hard this round.
Okay, he can do that. I'll just take a wound again.
Yeah,
Ugh.
so that's gonna be another wound for you. And you are up again.
Oh, this is bad.
Okay.
And also, everybody say hi to Robert, aka Sir Luke Harris.
Hi.
Okay, using a destiny point to keep an extra die because I'm starting to get low on them.
Okay.
Wait, I get to keep 4
No.
this time because of. Yes, with the destiny point, I get to keep 4
Okay.
because it's reckless attack again. So I have 17.
All right. That is a 3rd wound on the Kingsguard Knight, Sir Marin Trant. Give me 1 second. For free, I'm gonna let you make a persuasion intimidate check, ignoring wound and injury and fatigue penalties. This is just gonna be a generally, how intimidating do you look right now as he compares his ability to do his duty later this week with his pride, with the pride of the Kingsguard Knights? There's lots of stuff going on behind those dead eyes.
Is there anything I can do with a destiny point at this point? I only have 3 dice. I have no bonus dice or anything.
You can spend a destiny point to gain a bonus die on a test. It's your call whether or not you want that
It's
to be
kind of
worth it
low.
for this. We're just kind of doing a morale test for him. It's your call.
Just take the roll, I think.
I'll take it at 9.
Okay. So this third wound of yours is a solid headshot with the butt end of the spear again. As the fight is dragging on, the weight of his armor and your evasive Dornish fighting style, and then the pain of this aggression, it's all wearing on him, and his shield is starting to drop enough. And you finish this latest flurry with a kind of quarterstaff style thunk with the butt end of the spear that smashes the spear haft and his own shield kind of up into his head, and it causes a cut under one eye when he's already got a cut over the other eye. And he cocks his sword arm back, takes a half step back like he's getting ready to wade in for another flurry, and then he pauses and takes a few more steps back and looks past you as he takes a knee, and he sees
Holy shit!
other white-cloaked knights of the Kingsguard flanking King Robert Baratheon. He remembers his duty and that he must be capable of carrying it out, along with any other violence he should have to take part in later this week. And at 11 of his 12 damage, 4 of his 4 injuries, 3 of his 4 fatigue points, and 3 of his 4 possible wounds, Marin Trant takes a knee
Oh my
and
gosh.
yields the round of the turn. He was at the point where one more anything at all, and he was out.
That's where I was. I was the same point. One more of anything. So
he
I do.
takes a knee.
All right, I do a flourish and salute him, then turn to the king and salute him, and try to stagger off under my own power to the maester's tent.
I go crazy! Cheering! Jump out of my dad if I can.
I'm
Can I
freaking.
enter here?
Vindication!
Yeah, Luke is in whatever disarray the Maesters left him in. He's got bandages around his ribs.
I'm
from
shoving
one
my
of those
way
hits.
into the crowd.
So
I don't need a maester, damn it! And I'm gonna go and escort her back like I'm not injured. Just touching the very end.
Oh my gosh.
I have leapt over the barrier and started running forward, but when I saw Luke take her arm, just like hold up, look uncertain, smile, and go back because I'm
So,
just a bastard.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm sad.
Oh my god.
That was, and it also took you what, like 4 destiny points.
Yes.
So yeah, that was about as tight as it could go. But very well done. Not what the crowd or the GM was expecting.
Or the
the
player.
slow-
wanted it bad enough.
I hoped I had a little bit enough just to
And,
get it
and how
done.
many of those destiny points did you earn last week?
2.
Right?
I earned 2
Yeah, so
last week.
half those destiny points came
And-
from the Iron Throne being seized by chat. So
Yep. And
well done, chat.
Kevin gave me 1 more, so I do have
Maybe the
1.
worst.
I have 1 destiny point right now.
So that was directly a success by chat.
Yeah.
To take down maybe the worst of the Kingsguard. Boros Blunt is morally lacking and a craven, but Marin Trance may be just like the morally most
Evil.
awful of these Kingsguard. So, good job, chat. Good job, Lady Bela. The small
Thank you.
folk of King's Landing
Oh my gosh.
shrieking. It's like a freaking Beatles concert. And the highborn ladies are even louder than the highborn men on the other side of the field, where the knights and ladies and maidens are. The maidens are shrieking for you like they do, not terribly unlike they do the Night of Flowers, right? It's that same sort of
Yes.
like, it's a freaking Spice Girls concert of one up in here. As Lady Bela is got the crowds cheering.
I'm just happy because like winning one match in the joust, okay, good. Winning two is like, all right, maybe it's just an accident, but like winning this match, it's like vindication. Like this is legit. It's a legit win, and I didn't take the win after unseating him from his horse. I took the challenge to the ground and best
And
him.
you've
Our
also
pride
beaten
is very
two
important.
King's Guards. Two King's Guards.
Who?
Two.
So, from the royal box, a drinking horn sails. Like as you flurry or flourish toward the throne and then get taken away, a drinking horn full of deep red wine is thrown with startling accuracy and clatters off the armor of Marin Trant. And you guys hear Robert Baratheon, duh! Bad enough my fucking squires, but they're just blonde-headed twats. But the second bloody Kingsguard. Fuck off with your Trent. Back to your tower to change your cloak, and probably your breeches as well. Bested by a girl. Wine! And he's demanding a fresh flagon and drinking horn as he heaves himself back into his throne disgustedly. But as soon as he gets the fresh drink, he lifts it as a toast because Lady Bela's already kind of limped off. He lifts it in a toast to the Lady Rhaena and the rest of the small Nymerian contingent around her. And it doesn't even look terribly like rueful or reluctant because it's Robert Baratheon and he respects prowess. So it's more like like a legitimate, like fair played, well done. But first he gives Marin Trant a tongue lashing that Marin Trant does not enjoy because Robert Baratheon is too old.
I'm definitely asking for some wine when I get to the Maester's tent as well.
Yeah.
So,
Luke knows
Robert
right
Baratheon's
where
not
it is.
alone.
They have a fair amount of wine in the tent. Sometimes they boil it to pour on injuries to stem infection. Sometimes they mull it mixed with medicines. And like as Luke was dragged in there, he's like, "No, over here by the cask." So he's like,
I got a spot over here.
close to the wine.
This
He's like,
is the best
yeah, he's
cop.
like, yeah, these are the good seats.
I got the good spot.
Yeah, so he's able to guide you right back over there. You actually get a congratulatory toast and an openly leering and appraising look from Sir Aaron Santagar.
Oh, good.
Lucaris's once master and now kind of peer, but the dashing Dornishman from House Santagar is waiting for both of you with a pair of drinks. He goes, "Already filched them from the maesters for you. Word of your success has already reached the medical tents, Lady Bela."
Oh, thank you. Oh gosh, this hurts.
Sir Santagar.
Fighting the Kingsguard tends to, yes.
Yeah, I think.
Says.
Can you look
says
at my
the man
hand?
who is.
It may be broken. I'm not sure. As there's like blood all over it.
And he is the living person that probably fights the Kingsguard the most often. So there might be a little something in the wine for you already. So yeah, you are able to get bandaged up. We'll handle the healing roll and stuff later.
Sure.
It does mean that Luke and Bela are going to miss the next bout, which is a different dashing Dornishman. As
Oh no, can I still bet on it?
Of Will. we will assume that you had a wager already well
Okay.
in place. I doubt you're going to bet on the bastard Walder Rivers.
Walder
assuming
Rivers.
It was,
Yeah.
I'm assuming your bet was on Cousin Will instead of. the
Oh
bastard
yes.
River. Yes.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So back at the tourney grounds, Walder Rivers,
No.
the bastard son of Walder Frey. Sorry, one of many
One
bastard
of
sons.
many.
Let's clarify there. He is escorted up by one of those Frey boys that you have met, the Frey Walders that you have seen. He is the eldest of Walder Frey's bastards, so he's solidly middle-aged. His personal coat is that silver gray castle, the twins, on blue, but it's reversed. So instead of a blue castle on silver, it's the silver gray castle on a blue field, and it has that red band over it. It's common bastardy stuff to show, the flip-flop. But he is a knight of fairly solid reputation in the Riverlands. And he married a member of House Charlton, which is a fairly prominent one of the bannermen of the phrase. His opponent, however, is that dashing Dornishman, your cousin, the Will of Will. His colors, or at least his sigil, are a bit more sinister. It's the black and gold that's not terribly unlike the Baratheon colors, except, of course, the sigil of House Will is a bare foot being gnawed in, like, the Achilles tendon by a viper. It's a black viper hiding a bare foot. Has to do with many Stormlander incursions into Dornish territory, and the perhaps less than honorable tactics often used, particularly by House Will, in repelling those attacks. But there's no denying that he's dashing in the yellow and black, heavy on the black to keep up Dornish appearances and maintain that sinister repute. You all notice he's got a new sword on his hip. Yeah, it looks pretty fancy. The hilt looks pretty good. You can't make out the sword blade because it's sheathed, but that sword on his hip is polished and glinting and shining in the sun. There's a big ruby inset in the hilt.
I bet I know what it is.
He is guided out by Lord Beric Dondarrion's squire, but a Dornishman, the young Lord Edric Dane, who is decked out in his finery. House Dane is a prominent Dornish house. It looks like Lord Will of Will is borrowing various Dornish squires. And this one is a fancy Dornish squire as he comes out looking really snazzy and kind of highlighting that new sword that he is wearing. So, odds-wise, probably a slight favorite towards House Will in this, but fairly even odds in the general fluff and lore and knowledge. Get away, Nat. And the general tourney knowledge that you all have. Slight favorite towards House Will, but that could just be because you like House Will and you've seen him fight in earnest. So, bets are in. Let's see how this one fares. All right. The first few passes are fairly even, where the heavier armor of Bastard Walder and the greater mass of the stout Riverlander seems to be winning out as they go blow for blow. The third pass, however, is a very clumsy one for the Bastard Walder, and your cousin Lord Will is actually able to slip his strike entirely, and his lance is just a glancing thing off Lord Will's shield. It does not break. And that seems to rattle him, because in the fourth pass, Bastard Walder is unhorsed. He gamely clambers to his feet for a man of his salt and peppered haired age, and he draws his sword, and then your cousin Lord Will draws his sword, and there is no mistaking the dark steely glint of Valyrian steel. And the ripples and waves of this steel are a smoky red. And upon seeing the naked edge of Scorpion, the ancestral Valyrian blade of House Will, the Bastard Walder, sorry, it's not Black Walder, it's a different guy. The Bastard Walder turns his draw into a salute and then flourishes and plants his sword in the ground.
Smart man.
It's very smoothly done, especially for a fray. You're like, all right, that's not bad. Like, I don't blame him. That's the smart choice, and he also wasn't like, yeah, and like throwing his sword down or whatever. Like, it's part of the draw, and then, oh, never mind. Well done, you know. So, the Will of Will passes to the next round with a smile as sharp and dangerous as Scorpion, which he turns and salutes the royal box with, and then kind of high step prances on his horse to turn and give you all, his beloved cousins, a similar quick little salute and bow from the saddle, before high stepping his horse off the field, but stooping low in the saddle to yank little Lord Edric Dane up behind him, and Edric's billowing cloak with the symbol of House Dane of Starfall gets to flutter gamely in the breeze as they gallop away, and many young lords and ladies ooh and awe. It's all quite dashing and dangerous and romantic.
Ah.
The Dornish have reputations to upkeep.
Well, we're doing it.
The next bout, I will say by this point, a hand-bandaged and tipsy Bela is able to return with a bound like ribs and chest and tipsy Lucaris. You're both able to make your way back as Sir Richard Horp squares off against Sir Merlin Crakehall. Sir Merlin Crakehall is not Sir Lyle Crakehall, the famous strongboar of House Crakehall, but the Crakehalls are still a big, beefy family, and Sir Merlin is still a stout knight. But Sir Richard Horp has quite a reputation as a brutal and efficient fighting man, and he did recently soundly trounce the dashing Lord Beric Dondarrion. So, odds are on Sir Richard Horp.
My bet is made.
He is a scarred, lean, dark-haired, and he's also got like some pox scars on him. But he has a reputation for just straight up liking a fight. Kind of on the Lynn Corbray end of the liking a fight spectrum, more than the Robert Baratheon and Nathan Lucas end of the liking a fight spectrum. He likes a battle more than he likes a brawl, right? It's like that flavor of liking a fight more than a joyous barroom brawl. It's like, no, like people say Sir Richard just tends to enjoy the kill a bit. And that generally gives him an edge over just about anyone. So, bets are rather in his favor. Say 3-2-ish is the odds given. Bets in our game are still 1-1 odds, whatever. But the crowd and the smart money is leaning Horp. So, bets are in over on the Google Doc. Okay. On the first pass, both lances shatter gamely, and both men stay in the saddle quite well. On the second pass, the greater weight and just mass and bulk of the Crake Hall wins out, and Sir Richard is sent tumbling from the saddle. But Sir Richard kind of twists and pivots, and he actually lands in like a 3-point landing on his feet with his feet and shield in the dirt, um, and he draws his notched sword, and there's a booming laugh from Sir Merlin, who just drops his lance and his shield and holds up both empty hands. He goes, "Not on your life, Orp. I'll take my wins when the gods grant them me. Perhaps I'll see you in the melee, but I pray not, sir." And he turns and bows towards the royal box and the king. Kind of a good-natured, amused sort of thing, instead of the dogged insult and all that. And even Sir Richard has kind of a wry smile on his face as he accepts his loss, but the compliment and fear that came with the loss perhaps leads it from stinging so well.
I like that Crake Hall.
Sometimes you roll a 1, and the odds don't help.
Damn it.
I know. I think we all voted on or bet on Horp.
I was rolling lots
Been a
of
little
ones in my
It's been a
fight.
little while since I lost.
Next up,
One.
the next to the last tilt of the third round of the joust, you hear a similarly good-natured Stormlandy roar as Sir Nathan Lugas goes charging his destrier onto the field with his struggling, over-encumbered squire, Josmin Peckleton, huffing and puffing to keep up as he's carrying not only Sir Nathan's chosen weapons, but the shields of the vanquished thus far, which you guys all got to see earlier, because he's making Peck follow him all the fuck around and show off the shields of everyone that he has beaten so far. So a huffing and puffing Peck travels in his wake with the shields of Lord Bryce Caron and Sir Reynard Ruttiger that he props up against the weapons racks to display the victories thus far. Just a little something Nathan Lucas does. He doesn't actually ransom back everybody's shit. He keeps the shields as scalps. So it's Nathan Lucas, and the small folk kind of adore him. They cheer, they roar. He plays it up a little. He's got a drinking horn tucked in his belt. There's no way it's got anything in it after that gallop, but he makes a point of lifting it towards King Robert, who toasts him in return. They've shared many a hangover together. But then kind of a quiet, murmured, oh no, this is gonna suck, falls over the crowd as Bronze Jan Royce, Lord of Runestone, walks his destrier up with kind of menacing slowness. He is led onto the field by his youngest son, Andar Royce, who is serving as his squire, and who's been doing very well in the other half of the squire's joust. You guys have been following one set of brackets with Oris in it, but the youngest Royce brother has been cleaning house in the squire's joust. And he doesn't like charge gamely onto the field and roar to the crowd and all that. He kind of drifts the way a mountain seems to draw nearer as the clouds around it part and you get a better look, right? Like that's how it feels. It's not like he's moving. It's like he and his rune-crusted bronze armor and his heavily barded horse, they're standing still and the world is drifting closer to them at a rock, because the Royces do not move. So it's just this, you kind of feel like Sir Nathan is going to be tilting against like Storm's End, right? It's just like shit, like that's not fair. He's only got a charging destrier and a lance. Look how big that other guy is. So, Nathan Lucas is a tourney knight of some repute, and he's quite affable and able. But Bronzeon Royce is a renowned tourney knight, and yeah, the smart money is on Bronzeon. Though, again, either way, Illyrium Opatis will take the bets either way, and he will gamely talk up whichever one you bet against. Like, if you're betting for Nathan, he's like, well, yes, indeed. Of course. Look how handily he beat Sir Reynard Rediger and the dashing young, Lord Karen. And, like, he'll talk up the achievements of whichever one you bet against to make it sound like he's making the smart bet either way. So, wagers are accepted, wagers are in. You notice again, as he's helping you into your armor, because you're up next, Vannon, that Oris keeps kind of casting a glance over towards the grounds to try and watch the fight. Anytime he's not busily buckling you into your plate harness and stuff, you notice, Vannon, that he's distracted by watching the Royces. And now you guys know why. So, bets are in. Let's see how this one goes.
Come on. Put a big bet on this.
So,
Right.
Nathan tries.
Aww.
The first is made. He shatters his lances quite expertly. It's just that Bronzeon Royce doesn't seem to notice them shattering. He just sits in the saddle and is just, it's like when a stray arrow shot misses a target and just like breaks against the interior castle wall when you're all practicing your archery. Like, that's the lances on him. He's just like, yep, now you hit me. I'm easy to hit. Like, that's not the hard part, friend. So they're all solid shots. They're accurate lance strikes. As he is battered from the saddle on the third pass, and he hollers, mace! And Peck hurries up and gives him a big, fairly brutal mace. And then, taking his time clambering out of the saddle, Royces do not hurry. At least Bronzeon, and his advanced age, does not. But he clambers out of the saddle, and he also recovers a simple but brutal mace from his youngest son, and the two of them go at it, just blunt instrument on blunt instrument. You see Bronzeon Royce's shield giving way under the brutal, efficient strikes of Sir Nathan. But, like, Sir Nathan's shield breaks after one swing from Bronzeon. And then his armor starts to get battered with, like, every heavy, perfectly timed, perfectly placed, all body motion behind it string. Bronzeon Royce doesn't attack with, like, flurries, and he doesn't just bash. He's an old man that's really good at this, and he hits only when it's going to be a perfect hit. And it takes him about 4 swings before Nathan Lucas coughs really loudly. And you can see he's having trouble breathing because his breastplate has been caved in
Yikes.
about mid-gut from this just like brutal sidearm swing. And he gasps like a fish out of water before forcing a kind of red-toothed smile because his lip got split when he tumbled from the saddle. And he just goes, well, struck. I'll stop while I can yet drink, sir. or my lord, sorry. He would not Sir Bronzeon. So he stops and is immediately working at the straps on his armor. And Peck rushes up and helps him out of it. And Bronzeon accepts it with a polite and courtly bow. He turns and does a polite and formal bow to King Robert, who is chuckling aloud because he loves watching big dudes with bludgeons just go at it. There's some Freudian stuff going on there. And then as the breastplate is taken off of him, Sir Nathan lifts it to show like the indented inside to the crowd. And he's like, oh, holy shit, look at this. I didn't die. I'm so badass. Right? Like it's this like good-natured, like puppyish kind of like look what he fucking did. You would have quit too. Type of thing as he's showing it off. And then he makes a big show of picking up the biggest chunk of his shield that remains and giving it to young Andar Royce, Bronzeon's squire. The like third of shield that like still has some strap on it, like the biggest piece of driftwood that remains. He makes a big show of giving it to him, and even at a distance you can see him kind of laughing and going like, go pick up the other fucking pieces if you want to, kid. Like here you go, you got my shield fair and square. So with good humor, Nathan Lugas has not made it into the top 8, and the brutal power of Bronzeon Royce has.
How is Oris responding to this?
He grunts and shrugs and goes back to working on your armor and checking the straps of his saddle, checking the straps on the saddle of your horse, and he doesn't comment, and he didn't say like, 1 second, sir, let me go watch this, right? Like he was just kind of watching, and then gives a little bit of a nod, and then goes right back to work.
How many ranks in language grunt and shrug do I have to take before I understand what the hell he's talking about?
It's gonna come from empathy rolls.
Ooh, I got that.
You get the feeling this one was like, yeah, that's probably what was gonna happen. Like, oh yeah, the sun rose, right? It's like, yeah. But he doesn't look happy about it. But that leads us to the final joust, as the third round of the joust commences, and the final spot in the top 8 is up for grabs. Introduce yourself, Sir Vannon Rivers.
So, Vannon is taking the field on his black courser. He's still decked out in his Raven Knight armor, tree roots patterns working their way down his arms to his gauntlets, the helmet flanked by raven wings and a beak that comes down just before the faceplate itself. Very dark, just almost black ash gray armor with the roots all painted with burgundy of Nymerin.
And in the crowd, you guys do hear a few calls, like as you're being led up. It's like, oh, a raven, and oh, the rider. You hear riding. Yeah, he rode. The horseman. Yes, a raven, bastard raven. Ha 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 ha. Caw caw caw. Sort of thing. So it's
it does what it do.
You're getting some attention, getting some reputation.
Haters doth hate.
And then across from you is the gold and red of House Fossaway of Cider Hall. He is a red apple Fossaway. It's a red apple on a golden little blue spiggy leaves on it. So he's not of the new apple, the green Fossaways. But yes, it is a cousin-in-law of Sir Garland Tyrell, that is known to spar and ride quintain with him from time to time. So Sir Tanton Fossaway is a reach knight, and they are known for their skill in tourneys. And so far this week, he has defeated Lord Ralph Buckler and Sir Titos Brax, neither of whom are knights of particular renown, but they're also not knights of particular shame or inability. But the odds, as murmured through the crowd, are basically even money on this one. Rivers has made a name for himself, defeating a knight of the King's Guard, and then one of the looming giants of House Kettleblack, the only Kettleblack knight, in fact. So it's sounding
Picking a
pretty
name for
evensies,
yourself.
Stevensies. So let's get those bets in, boys and ghouls, and let's assemble your die pool. Let me get your
What's
passive ride.
passive ride is 13.
And then what was your question coming up?
What's the description of this guy? Like, I know who he is. I don't know what he looks like.
In as much as there is a generic reach knight, it's this guy. Kind of fair skin, a scattering of red freckles across them, brown hair with a few hints of gold in it. Much like his good cousin, he's got a neatly trimmed little kind of spade-shaped beard. His armor is very shiny. He's got red enamel on all the apple kind of ornamentations on it, have red enamel on them and little green sprigs for the leaves. The armor itself is kind of a burnished bronze, not quite the gold of House Fossaway, but it's that instead of like a steel or an enameled yellow. So it's kind of this kind of yellowed, almost goldish, bronze yellow color, and then it pops with these red apples everywhere.
Okay, I am jousting a knight of cider.
Like I said, he's a very kind of fancy reach knight. It's just kind of how they look. And he's also on a rather dashing-looking destrier. Has strong lines and etc., etc., etc. And so, let's do this thing. We've got fighting plus any dice in spears plus animal handling. You roll all that, and then you keep fighting -1 for the charge, and an additional -1 if you don't have any bonus dice for spears, because tourney lances require special training.
All right, so I will ditch this 3.
And before
So I
you
keep-
roll, make sure you declare a stance if you're using one.
I'm going to go neutral on this one, sort of test it out and see what he's like.
Good idea.
Alrighty.
All right, so of my 5 fighting dice, -1 for not having spears. Let's see, I end up with 12, 20.
Okay. 1 second. You have 10. All right, that will be a 2 degree of success hit on him. He rolled a 21 against you, which will be a 2 degree of success. So, both well-placed lane. He will deal so 8 points of damage on you, which I believe your armor will.
Correct.
And I believe you do about 8 as well. Animal handling 3 is the base, right? Yeah,
Correct.
Animal handling 3. So yeah. So armors are going to be even, Steven. Nobody's taking damage until somebody falls. But now you must both make difficulty 12 animal handling tests or be unhorsed.
Does that include ride?
Yes. It's animal handling plus ride dice. Keep only animal handling, basically. Sir
Yeah,
Tangent Fossaway stays gamely in the center.
I do not.
Okay.
Oh no.
Well then, you will take 8 points of damage that bypasses armor. Sorry, allergies have me a coughing, and I'm trying not to do it right in everyone's face holes. So, you
You're all
take
good.
8 points of damage
my face
that
holes.
bypasses armor, which the wind is blasted from you as you are knocked from the saddle. And now the choice is yours. Do you hurry to your feet and draw a weapon, sir?
Man,
Yep.
get up.
I take a second, get up as gracefully as I can, reach for my sword and shield while he's coming out, gesture to the knight, gamely but politely, there's good nature here, and gesture for him to come.
He does so.
Come at me, bro.
Sort of
Good
a,
job. We affirm.
we're not quite done, friend.
All
There
right.
we go.
Oris brings you your sword and shield as needed. So it's whatever class of shield you normally use in a fight you have, instead of the often larger one used for the joust. He, for his part, recovers a. It's weird, because it's still like shiny and polished and kind of artfully decorated in a few places, but it's a motherfucking morning star. So like the club head of it is like an oversized apple, but then it still has like the wicked spikes protruding and stuff. Reach knights gotta know what works against things, and sometimes they'll go for their sword if they're a particularly able swordsman. But his is like it's a spiky apple on a stick, basically. So it's a little jarring because you're like, somebody still took the time to make that pretty and like make it a
knows
little
his
apple
theme.
and stuff.
I like to call it
but
the
yeah.
danger apple.
So,
Danger apple.
decide what you're doing with those 8 points of damage. If you want to offset them with an injury or something, do that before the fight starts. But in the meantime, he is a coming your way, and he has initiative because he won the joust proper.
All right.
All right, and what is your combat defense, sir?
My combat defense under these circumstances is 6.
Are you?
And your damage, just so I can have it handy to do math also.
I can just take an injury if he like gets past the 8, right?
Yeah. No, I mean
Well-
like your damage rating.
Oh, sorry. My damage rate. Oh, 10
No.
for the half
Damage
plate.
rating with a long sword, like the
Sorry, I'm
damage
thinking
you
of-
do with your bastard sword.
I was looking at armored rating. Sorry.
No, I
Yeah.
gotcha. I
I
gotcha.
thought
yeah,
you might be.
Damage rating is 4, one-handed.
Okay. I just wanted to get your combat defense and damage down right where I'm looking at his stats. We can also have yours and speed things up.
Yes,
So,
please.
Kevin, is
Uh,
that 6 including your shield? Just
Yeah, that is
Okay.
with my shield.
Okay.
If it was just the armor, it'd be 4.
all right, got it. It just
all
sounds
right.
so low.
He comes at you with a flurry of brutal strikes that are aimed at damaging your shield as much as you, as he wades in with a 18 to hit you. So that will be 3 degrees of success. So it's going to be 12 points of damage. And you lose 1 point of defense. It's 12 points before your armor. But his Morningstar has Shattering 1. So you lose 1 point of defense bonus from your shield as it wedges in there and he like wrenches it loose and like chunks of shield are falling off. So 12 points of damage for you to then deal with armor as you desire. But your combat defense is now going to be a 5.
Oh boy.
This is the upside of Shattering. If they
Yeah.
hit with an extra degree of success, it's a debuff. So they're pretty solid. And it is your turn, sir. Answer him with your bastard sword, bastard with a sword.
Sounds like a good move to me. All right, so fighting swords to be. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
Ba, ba,
Okay.
ba, ba, ba,
Forget an aim
Ba,
action.
ba, da, 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 da.
Aim action
trying to
for
win.
+1 bonus die. Did you do that?
Sorry, say again.
Aim action for +1 bonus die
That works for me.
is the default.
Yeah, there's no reason to never
Yeah.
do that.
It's an extra roll. Well, if you're just doing a standard attack, yes. So it's an extra rolled, not kept die, but it's +1.
Okay.
And have you
Oops.
taken any injuries yet? By the way,
Not yet. I'm a
All right.
point away from it.
All right, just trying to help with math.
Yes, please. Thank you. That is much appreciated. Yeah. So I rolled a 29.
Nice.
If I throw a destiny point in there, can I like get another die, or is that
That's
just a bonus?
That's a lot of kept dice. What's your fighting?
That 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is 5
Okay,
dice.
so it's
My
just a
fighting is
ton-
5.
Yeah, so just tons of 6s
wow.
and 5s.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Uh,
discarded a 1, a
5,
2, and a 4. So
Nice.
yeah.
All right, I'm just double checking the math. And yes, you can keep an extra die with a destiny point if you would like to. And
Does
what,
it add?
I will do that, and I will throw a 4 on top of that.
so that
So
would get you
that's,
a 33.
Yeah.
That's my math.
Correct. Yeah. That will be an extra degree of success with the destiny point, so it is worth it. We just always walk through the math because it's supposed to be an informed decision. So that'll be
5 degrees.
Let's go that.
Many.
That should be like
Don't
all the
decapitated.
damage.
He does have his full armor rating though. All right, you are able to advance on him with perhaps the best flurry of strikes you have ever done, not against a training Pell. And it's not that he isn't reacting. He's got a large shield that he is interposing. He is spinning that Morning Star around with surprising alacrity to parry some and all that. But it is a smashing flurry that leaves him with an injury at the end of the day. But it is his turn, and he is going to respond with a Morning Star, which is always a fair response to many of life's
Really?
little problems.
It's super effective.
You know, stuck drawers, locked chests, doors, whatever.
Stuff, bones.
Meddlesome
people-
kids.
Yeah, it's whatever.
The dog, too.
Apples.
Apples.
How do you think he makes the cider?
How'd you like them?
Gallagher.
All right.
That's all I was
Name's
thinking.
Gallagher.
Smith, Smith the apples, Smith them.
All right, that is a 24. So not quite the next degree of success. But that's still going to be lots of degrees of success. So 16 points. And you lost another point of combat defense from Shattering 1.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drop the shield and two-hand the bastard sword.
As a note, from the point of the shield being gone, whether destroyed or discarded, Shattering starts to do damage to armor rating instead. Shattering is fun. Bludgeons are fun. So
Glad he's rich, because he's gonna have an armor left.
So yeah, that is a 16 points
You can replace it.
to deal with.
He needs
Okay.
more aura.
So 10 off with the armor, which leaves me with 6. So I'll take an injury. And that refreshes me back down, or
An injury reduces the damage taken by your endurance score. So that would take it from 6 to 3. So what happens if you take 3 damage? Are you at 0 or negatives?
I am. Yes.
And
Yeah,
you can
you
take
might
a
wanna take a
second
wound then.
injury.
Yeah.
You can
Oh.
take 2 injuries or 1 wound, kind of your call. But the second injury,
Oh.
you just do the math. A second injury would reduce the damage by 6. So because it's right there, it's the neatest answer. But now you're
I got
looking at -1 on all your rolls per injury, but the initiative is yours. So you roll everything up, you total it, and then you subtract.
All right. So so that's a minus from my kept dice then.
You add everything up and then subtract 2 from the number. If you roll a 22,
Oh, gotcha.
you subtract 2 and have a 20.
Okay.
Got it? All right.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Fives. Okay, so that is 12, 18, 28, down to 26.
Okay.
Yeah, can I use another destiny point to keep another die?
Give me 1 second. He is spending a fatigue to ignore his armor penalties. So he's actually going to be combat defense 13 against this. So we're going 13, 18, 23. So that'd be 3 degrees right now. You would need a 28 to get a 4th degree.
I'll spend another destiny point for that.
Yeah.
So it gets you to a 28. All right. So
Yes, I do.
success. That is 16 points. That is okay.
So, yeah, now it is 33 with, and now my damage is 5 because I'm two-handing the bastard sword.
Okay. So that'll be yes, that is a palpable hit.
Every time you say that, I think of Pugsley Adams doing Shakespeare.
Right?
So you advance on him with a flurry of powerful two-handed strikes, but he doesn't respond by like defensively giving ground. He's kind of nimbly pimbly continuing to try and like bull rush you and stay in close and maintain aggression. That's him spending the fatigue point to ignore his armor penalty. So it's not as cruel and crushing a flurry as it could be, but you know a bone-jarring hit when you deal one, and he is down a couple of injuries, but he is up again. On his attack, we will roll this. And we will keep lots of things. All right. One of those dice is not super. Many of them are, however. So 18, 23, 24, 25, 4. That is a 21 against your combat defense of 4. So we got 4, 9, 14, 19. That's 4 degrees of success. That is another 16 points. And your armor has lost 1 level. So it's now armor value 9 against this hit.
Oh, it's even
Is,
before the hit. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I got confused earlier with the you can use a destiny point to remove one of their degrees of success. That was not true.
Yeah, it's not a degree of success, it's a die. And for the record, he had to keep a 1 this time, so the destiny point wouldn't have helped you. He had lots of great dice and then 1 shitty die that he had to keep anyway. So, yeah, the destiny point would not have helped. Removing one of his dice.
Is there any maneuver or something I can try to disarm him? Like hold up the blade and let the Morningstar wrap around it and like yank it away, or?
There is a disarm maneuver. First, you need to deal with his damage. Right?
Yes.
Like, what are you doing with this incoming 16 points?
Fuck me. Can I just take a wound?
It's your call. and you're capped on the number of injuries you can take is equal to your endurance. So I feel like you're probably getting close there.
Yeah,
But
I'm.
yeah, a
I'm at
wound.
the edge.
Yeah, a wound just lets you ignore all the damage from one attack, so you will take 0 from it, but you will be at -1 kept die.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
All right. So the disarm action, and by the way, it's a morning star, not a flail. There's no chain on it. It's just kind of a mace with spikes,
My
just
mistake.
visually. But yeah,
Castlevania screwed me up as a kid.
disarming is still an option. You make an attack. Your difficulty is your opponent's passive fighting.
Ooh.
And if you succeed with at least 2 degrees, you have disarmed your opponent.
2 degrees.
Critical failure, so if you fail by more than 5, your opponent disarms you. If you have a hand free and have fighting 4 or greater, which you do, you have their weapon at the end of a disarm. Otherwise, it lands D6 yards away in a random direction.
All right, I think that's what I'm gonna have to do.
All right. Going for the Morning Star, and again, you've kind of got the free hand because you're using the Bastard Sword 1 or 2-handed from attack to attack. It's fluid, and Lord knows there's plenty of grabbable stuff on a Morning Star. So there's options for however you want to describe the disarm. So give me that roll, and I will double check my math on his passive fighting.
All right, and I'm losing 1 kept die, so I only keep 4 in the end.
Sounds correct. And then
All right.
it's -1 per injury. After all the totaling, you then subtract.
All right, so 12. And can I use a destiny point to keep 1 more?
You can. Before you make that decision, you're looking for a 21.
Yeah, actually, that's
So
exactly what I need.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Okay. Wow, like to the number.
All right. Do you choose to grab the Morning Star or only knock it away? It's your choice.
I will grab.
Okay. You're able to get in, do some half-sortie tricks, get in close, wrench the Morning Star away from him, and kind of lurch away with it. And you now have it ready in each hand. So, his action this turn is going to be retreating to his squire and arming up while taking a take a breath action, which will also buy you a full round to take a breath action. So, roll me your endurance. He is going to arm himself with a lesser weapon for this type of fight, because it's not like he gets to go get whatever he wants. He only has to choose from the weapons he brought, and that matters with this particular guy. So, make an endurance roll, and we will look into getting you back some health points. So,
13.
you are buying yourself a favor here.
Yeah.
13 and
Is that-
yeah.
Injury and the wound and
Is
stuff.
that- no, in that case, you're right. That's
I don't apply those to healing tests for the healing over time to get rid of
taking a
injuries
breath
and wounds,
though.
but
yeah.
it is going to hurt with.
In that case, it's 8. Does Blood of the First Men do something for that, or does that just give me extra
I
endurance
think
and
it's
health?
just the extra health, I believe.
Okay. No first blood regeneration.
So are you now going to fight with the sword in one hand and the mace in the other? Because that would be
Hell no,
dope.
it'd be dope, but I don't think I have any experience or things for dual fighting.
You just throw it
I think
at
that'll just.
Kind of nobody does. It's weird.
Yeah,
as a
I'm
kid.
just. What do I look like? The fucking the star of the morning? No, I'm just gonna
So,
ditch the mace like behind me where he can't get to it.
what was your total on your endurance roll? Sorry.
With all the penalties, 8.
So it's a difficulty 0 test. Every degree of success removes 1 point of damage. So you get back 1 point. He rolls that. He gets to keep 3 because of the injuries. So he will get back 2 points of damage. So basically, you just bought both of you around to heal, and he has now downgraded to a longsword, which does not automatically do damage to armor and stuff. So his next attack will be a bit less fearsome as he wades in. Give me 1 second. So his renewed flurry. That's not a great. He got average by rolling part great and part not great, and you're both beat up enough that might not be a great hit. So that is a 16 minus 2. That's a 14 to hit. So you are. Sorry, I got to redo his damage real quick. Okay, damage is the same, just not that. All right, so you are combat defense 4. That is 3 degrees. It's 12 points of damage. So I believe 3 after armor is where we are.
I can take that.
Alrighty. And you are up.
How many weapons did he bring?
Oh god, are you just gonna try and do that again?
That would be kind of hilarious.
Arrayed on the rack, you still see a balanced and keen-edged fighting axe, and there is a tradition of any weapon that the squire has being fair game. Looks like it's just another sword. But
Yeah.
squires kind of emerge from bringing a second to a duel, so that's where they were like, if they're in that much trouble, the squire's allowed to, arm them. So
It was worth it
Alright,
just to take
so
down
what
his
are we doing?
applejacker. Could I have gotten a spare shield, by the way, or is that off the table?
yeah, say you have a spare regular shield, not a large shield. So you've got that backup also.
Cool.
Last.
All right. I'm just all out attack.
All right, so the reckless attack to keep an extra die.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, go for it.
Bringing me back. All right. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Why is my math so slow? All right.
So I believe that gets you back to keeping your 5 dice, correct?
Yes.
'Cause you have
Yes.
1
Alright.
wound.
Oh, God. It's all over the place. All right. So that's 10, 15, 19, 25.
All right. And is that with your injuries?
Yeah.
The black minuses. Okay. So that's 4 degrees. Your damage is back down to 4 because you're one-handing it now, right? So
That is correct, yes.
16, Blah, blah, blah. All right. You renew your attack, having caught your breath a bit, just enough, and now kind of also stuffing his shield with yours, and using it as a weapon as much as a defensive maneuver. You're able to land a ringing blow atop his gleaming bronzed helm, and as he backs away from your flurry, he reaches up and casts it aside, and you can see he's like sweating and panting and damaged under there, but he renews his attack, undaunted, but now keeping 1 less die. Alright, so you're evening up on the wound front. He will now only keep 4. So 6, 12, 19, 4, it's a 15, Mastercrafted makes it 16. You are combat defense 1 by my math, with the -5 for aggressive. Because it's 4 without a shield, 6 with the shield, 1, right? So that is 4 degrees. That's going to be 16 points of damage as he responds with a powerful flurry of longsword strikes.
Think I better just take another wound.
And then you are up, sir.
All right. So we are down to, what is it, 3 kept dice at the point, or?
Sounds right.
Okay. Yikes.
And -1 to the total for each injury. So yeah, it adds up fast. That's the spiral.
It sure freaking do.
momentum.
We
And
both
remember,
are.
you can use your action to yield. It's your call. Again, wounds tend to last at least a day, and you know that the melee is day after tomorrow.
True, but the joust is where the attention is.
Yeah, but then if you
I'm just-
get this, you got to do the next round.
At least
What
I'll
is
have made
that?
it to the next round.
That's why I'm just reminding people that wounds and injuries linger. Fatigue goes away fairly quickly, and these, tourney injuries as well. But the tourney wounds take at least a day to heal. So I'm just reminding folk. So all right, come at him.
Speaking of which,
you
can
got?
I spend a point of fatigue to ignore penalties, and does that let me keep those dice?
You can spend 1 point of fatigue to ignore all your injuries, but you take a new -1 for the fatigue. So the math there just depends on how many injuries you have. Or 1 point of fatigue lets you ignore 1 wound. So you
Okay.
can kind of keep 2d6, but take a -2 if you want to spend 2 fatigue to offset both wounds. Yeah, it just comes down to the math.
Okay. I'm going to spend a destiny point to keep another die,
Alrighty.
and I'll use a point of fatigue to keep another one.
Go on, Hail Mary.
Okay. For real. I am, and I'm all outing. This is what I've got.
Alrighty. So it sounds like you
Oh my
are
gosh.
keeping 6.
That
Are you
is,
reckless?
Yeah. it was.
I keep 6.
Okay, normally you keep 5. Reckless makes it
Oh, yeah.
6. Wounds
Right, and I
make
did
it-
the.
Wounds make it 4. Destiny
Right.
makes it 5. Fatigue makes it 6. So you are.
Thank
keeping
you,
6
sorry.
dice.
I'm so crap at math. All right, so 10, 22, 28, 32, plus 1 for a
This is like a
Castle Forged sword, -2. Well, yeah, I don't have the -2, so that's, yeah.
So are you spending a fatigue to offset injuries also?
Yes.
Because remember, that's if your injuries are a -2, fatigue is -1 per fatigue point.
Right.
So
I would just
Okay.
I would just keep the -2.
Yeah.
All right, I
Unless-
defer to the will of the council.
Yeah, unless it makes the difference between degrees of success, I would say.
Okay.
So what is your total with the injury modifiers and the 1 point of fatigue to ignore a wound?
Okay, let me recount that. Sorry. 10, 20, 32, minus.
So it's 32. Let's do it a step at a time. You got 32 on
Roll
the
the
dice.
roll 32.
So 32. 33 from a castle forged weapon. How many injuries do you have?
2.
So 31,
Right?
30, because you just spent 1 point of fatigue to offset the injury. So you're at a
Gotcha.
29.
Okay.
And so he is combat defense 7, so 12, 17, 22, 27. Yeah, eking out an extra point or 2 will not help. But that's still, he's taken a wound from it. He has certainly not got shenanigans enough to offset that. So you're able to wade in again. This one ends with a solid butt strike to the head after he clawed his helmet off and was, kind of clearly fatigued and gasping because you're looking at 24-ish damage, I believe, if my math is correct. That's going to be 14 after his armor. That's wound territory on this guy, which leaves him at that total. So 2 wounds, those injuries, that fatigue. He is going to go for it. And this is mostly because he's a Knight of the Reach and you are a bastard. So he's going for 1 round longer than he might quit against someone else. Because for all their many virtues, the Reach is still not terribly kind to their flowers. Alright, so he is keeping a base of that. Due to wounds, he loses those. So you are looking at a 16 minus 4 is a 12. Against your combat defense of 1. So that's 3 degrees of success. That'll be a 12-pointer.
Minus with, so I can subtract my armor from the 12.
So 12 points minus your 9 remaining armor. So 3 gets
I'm still
3.
in the game.
Yay!
So that's another wound, right?
It is, but
All right.
I'm still in the game. Wait, if it's only like 3, I figured I could just take another injury. Or which one? Guys, help me out.
I thought you said you were tapped out on injuries.
Oh, well, I've got 2 injuries, and I can
Oh.
have 3 total before I'm
Okay.
like out.
Yeah. So yeah, just taking 1 injury will absorb that 3 points.
Okay. All right. Then
We're all fucked.
yeah. All out attack.
You guys better hope those 2 Frey squires don't come back to rob you guys later this afternoon, because you're
I
gonna
know,
lose that.
right?
You're gonna lose that fight.
Everybody's gonna be drunk and laid up.
Too tired. Just take it. Get out of here, you little shits. All right.
I'll do
So
it.
what are we doing?
Anyways.
Is it another all-out attack, or what are we doing?
It is all out.
All right. So
Get it.
Just do it!
All right, and this time I'm not keeping a ton of dice.
So you're keeping 4 base.
Okay. Oh, it's not the worst. Okay, so I got 50. I got 21.
Alright.
Minus
And
3 for
then-
injury.
And then 1 for fatigue.
Yep. And
So it's
plus 1 for
21.
castle.
All right. So 18 total. That's all right.
Sounds right.
So 1, 2, 3. Blah blah. He will take his final injury. Okay. Again, it's both of you hammering at one another with weapons that aren't really great against full plate or half plate or brigandine. So it's a grueling back and forth that is about endurance as much as anything else. And he's just a little broader in the shoulders than you, and he is coming in again gamely. He is going to be losing. So it's minus 2 dice, minus 5 from his roll here. All right, we got
Fail! Fail!
Bad rolls.
Fail!
so
Trip on your own foot.
that is
Remember, wine is stronger than cider.
minus that.
You've been drinking the wrong cider.
That is an 11.
Probably.
So your combat defense 1 is going to be 12 points again. So 3 points getting past armor.
Oh, God. Do I think I can take this guy down in the next move?
How many wounds have you got right now? 2?
Yeah,
And what's your endurance is 3, right?
correct.
Ooh. That,
Oh. Yeah.
Bela, this fool's gonna kill himself trying to impress you. I
Yeah,
wanna say
on your
something.
3rd wound, you are out. Like that's the cap on wounds. So I think he just KO'd you.
Oh no.
Yeah. Because the cap on wounds, when you take the final one equal to your endurance, is when you are out.
That's unconscious,
And I
yeah.
don't think you've got any. Yeah.
Oh,
Now, which doesn't necessarily need to be the case here. It could be him battering you to your knees and holding his sword at your throat, or it doesn't need to be unconsciousness. What could be cool would be him trying to establish superiority that way, and then you rising to fight him again, and then he has to knock you out. So we'll say it's kind of your call. You can yield before the blow lands, or you can go down swinging. We'll leave it up to you. With which visual do you prefer?
Much as I appreciate the wisdom to yield, Vannon has been he's absolutely going to go to the absolute nub and nothing. So yeah, I'll rips off his helmet, goes in for one last lunge, takes it to the face, drops to his knees, tries to raise his sword again, but he's clearly just out.
He is done. Yeah, that's about as done as someone can get. Yeah, and basically, he was ahead by a wound. The same way Bela was ahead by a wound from the start, just from winning the joust. It kind of gets you a leg up by a big block of health.
yeah.
And between that and the fact that this guy's endurance 4, that increases how much injuries do for you and how many you can take of wounds and injuries. So yeah, it was just a grueling war of attrition. The crowd does roar. You hear a bunch of, hollering and hallooing and cheering for the dashing gallant knight of the Reach. And as he turns, kind of panting and slumping and limping to salute the royal box with King Robert in it, Robert toasts the both of you as, "Ha! The raven pecked the apple a few times, though. Almost got your worm. Ha! Well struck, Fossaway." So he's said
Stagger.
mean things.
I just stagger to my feet, take up my blade, and give him a salute as best I can, like wobbling on my feet. If I can walk away from a fight, I need to know it's only barely.
It is very much only barely. Oris closes the distance and gives you a hand, and making it look like he has slung his arm around you in bastardry camaraderie. He is physically keeping you on your legs with his athletics of 5. But he's like,
Wow.
"Yeah, look how good he did," with an arm slung around your shoulders and like cheering with you and stuff. But you can feel how much he's grabbing the damaged spot on like your left shoulder, the shoulder piece there, and he's like pulling on your breastplate to keep you upright, while making it look like, "Yay, look how good he did." He's like, "It's cool, legs, I gotcha." Like it's of hauling
Hey,
you up.
Vannon is absolutely taking advantage of that. His pride is done now, and he grins at Oris, smiles to the crowd, and is grateful for sweat because it's hiding the tears.
oh no.
We are going to take our 10-minute break there, as House Nymerian takes about an hour break while the tourney grounds fill with people snacking on lunch, and while several of you are scurried and henpecked towards the maester's tent by Bessa of Fleabottom, who is feeding you as you go, but shoving and shooing you towards the maesters, so that everyone will have some healing help when the time comes tomorrow to make those rolls. Everyone's taking a break for lunch. We will come back with the semi-finals of the Squires Joust.
Yay.
And then the rest of the day is going to be House Nibarian resting and healing. So we'll see you all back here after our break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Westeros. On behalf of a groaning, disheveled, in pain, dispirited, bruised, battered House Nymerian.
Dispirited? Did you see me out there?
Weird.
That was great.
Add
She's
something
point.
before we change scenes.
Partially dispirited. But yeah, go ahead, Lucaris.
Basically, as Bannon comes in, I was gonna look at Bela and say, "Go check on him. Go see he's okay. Come on."
Go to him.
Didn't say that.
So we were out of the maester's tent already, though.
Yeah, we were at the sidelines
But-
or whatever.
Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can
Just
go
check
check
on
out Vannon's injuries wherever you want.
Yes.
That Vannon
In
consents.
public.
Let me see
Yeah,
your
as-
injuries.
When the crowd can't see us anymore, I am straight up just.
Picture me when she shows up.
Brought some wine.
Oris cheers you up with a shrug that like almost takes you off your feet because he's holding you, and he goes, "Well, didn't die."
As always, that.
That was a hell of a fight.
Yeah, and Oris is taking him like straight to the Maester's tents. So like you guys have to like go that way to catch up and bring the wine or whatever. But yeah, he's on his way.
Yeah, like if Bela's like trotting next to us, I'm just looking at her like half unconscious. My lady, I wanted to
Luke does
keep
not
up
follow
with you.
Bela.
You did.
I just want the.
Oh,
Oh my.
damn!
Here's some wine. It's refreshing. Okay, maybe when you wake up.
Dude,
Yeah.
you've got to up your game right this minute.
He took a few to the head, milady.
A few.
Well, milk of the poppy then, eh?
So he will be ushered off to the Maester's tent. Bessa will be hovering over the lot of you, even those that haven't fought or fought and won, and she'll be like, "Oh, no, hi, son. It's when the gaze of the Father is upon you from on high, it's time for lunch. Eat now, eat. You're all still growing." And she's shoving those sausage biscuits to each of you. And when she goes towards like Bela, it's like a pig in a blanket, but like a full-size sausage type of thing.
Holy crap.
And she goes to Bela and hands
Love
her
this
hers,
woman.
and she casts a sidelong glance over towards where Sir Garland is chatting with some Kingsguard knights and King Robert. And she goes, "He's the one what gave us the money. He could sausage my buns anytime."
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'll elbow her in the side and smile. That's right.
7 hells.
But she does point him out to the lot of you, confirming your suspicion that yes, it was Sir Garland the Gallant that was dropping off handfuls of silver in the name of Adam the Archer to spread the good word of Adam's generosity. But yeah, she just also makes lewd comments about his sausage and her buns.
I mean, can we blame her?
It's delightful.
No.
No.
Cannot blame her, not even a little bit.
Everyone's got about an hour to eat, to rest up, to drink up, to get bandaged by maesters, we will make those healing rolls for overnight, basically, with the maesters making rolls instead of you all making endurance rolls, because they are better at this. It's a lot of maesters and a lot of maester like trainees, because there's a conclave on. So they're like, "Hey, kid, that was supposed to take his final exam in, blunt force trauma combat injuries last week. Here you go." So it's the full on maesters, and then a lighter robe, kind of a tan or almost khaki colored, for the kind of apprentices and students. Some of them are quite old, the same way a lot of squires are still well into their 20s and 30s. A lot of the young maesters are still well into their 20s and 30s, the junior maesters. Several of them don't have proper chains on yet. Those of them that only have 2 or 3 or 4 links of their chain wear those links on like a leather cord around their necks. They're like their rings that kind of clank on like little leather cords and stuff. So it's a way to show like hey, that's like a grad student. He's got some rings, but not enough for a full chain. That type of thing. And you see some young ones. At one point, Sir Garland comes by to share a toast with a few of you and some congratulations and condolences in due course. And he says, "Oh, and hello, cousin," rather coolly to one of the apprentice maesters, who's a very handsome young man, but he must be from one of the lesser Tyrell branches. And then the little guy gets back to work and stuff. So it's clearly a lot of them are highborn, not just lowborn, not just bastards. There's one.
Rusty, while you can treat by the maesters, could I have asked a few questions? Try to gather some information, basically.
Yes, but we will handle that on the Facebook group, where I asked you guys to handle it on the Facebook group. Boom! I outed you, dirty laundry fret. No, but just that way it's written down, and I can keep track of who's asking and figure out what dice to do in a longer term than midstream. So yes, this would absolutely count as a touch point.
Strongly disagree
adjust.
with this, but okay.
So yeah, just hit me up on the group, so we can.
Okay, cool.
I can keep track of the rumors I give out, and who you get them from, because it's not always going to be accurate. But I want to be able to track what I'm telling people.
Yeah, no, I understand. No, fair enough.
So, there's a striking young Summer Islander lad that's wearing the maester robes. He's got very dark skin and close cropped, short black hair that does still have like a nobleman's peak on it. It's very sharp, and he's one that comes around and checks the bandages on Bela's hand, because some of the blood is already kind of soaked back through. So they've got some soaked bandages that sting a bit as they go on. And as they're getting re-cleaned, you actually notice a Dornish lilt mixed with the Summer Islander kind of patois. You've got just an assortment of maesters and junior maesters. There are several wizened old men that fit the maester profile more. That, like, if someone's bleeding real bad, they're gonna come over. You know what I mean? Like, it's their, it's kind of surgeons doing their rounds with like their understudies. So there's like actual maesters there. It's not just the the college kids,
the intern squad.
But yeah, but it's bustling, but
Can
it's
I
also
find-
like all highborn and stuff.
Can I find out which Dornish family that Junior Maester comes from?
They're all a little busy right now.
Okay.
Because these last several rounds have been pretty brutal, and like you guys see some of your opponents like on the other, a Maester 10 across the way, and but that can also be something. Hit me up in the Facebook group, and we will make some tests of some Dornish lore type of stuff. But he's a little busy; he can't really stop and talk much. They've got to work and then bustle away. So. You guys have that time. You're able to munch on some grub. You're able to, when the time comes overnight, we'll make those rolls with healing rolls from the maesters and their understudies. But at the end of about an hour-ish, we've got the next round of the Squire's Joust, which is drawing perilously close to a close. There are, in fact, only 2 bouts on this ground of the Squire's Joust. Lady Reyna is actually the least injured of you lot, and I don't think she has squired for Oris yet. And that might be something Lady Reyna notices instead of going, well, brothers and sisters and Bastard Ward, the sun's really quite high in the sky. I'll stay over here in the shade. You lot go squire for a bastard. Like Reyna might want to do that. Or, young Adam could, but I would say we'll cut down on the physical hard work of the folks nursing active wounds right now. It should probably be one of those 2.
I'm good with it.
I'll do it.
All right.
I'll do it.
Okay.
So, back over in the kind of bench seats, because most of you have been suggested to sit instead of stand, and you had falls from horses and stuff like that. So you're in like the rows instead of milling around a bit. But Illyrium Opatis embraces each of you in a hug and gives you kiss on both cheeks with his oily, spiked, blue-dyed beard. And, my friends, I was worried those dastardly scholars had spirited you away to learn the mysteries of your beauty and grace. Good to see they have instead bandaged you and given you back to the rest of us, who must pale in comparison to your noble bearing. Ooh,
It was
look,
a close call.
squires of fighting. And then he cheerfully waves over some more chilled wine for the lot of you, and is ready for more bets. First up, of the 2, is Osney Kettleblack, the youngest of the Kettleblack boys, who looms rather notably over his opponent, who is Miles. Just Miles. Miles has no last name. He is a squire to the Master-at-Arms of River Run, so he must be pretty able with arms, but to be lowborn and tutored by Sir Desmond Grell, a noted knight. But the looming and brutal Kettleblack is the clear, albeit unpleasant, favorite in this upcoming bout. Everybody got bets in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to go?
Yeah.
Folks who are wagering?
I don't care if he's the favorite. I'm not betting on the Kettleblack.
Right?
Yeah, no bet is absolutely valid. Like, you don't have to bet on a Kettleblack. You don't have to bet against him.
FTS.
We'll
But-
I'll
always
make money
bet
off of them.
We'll always bet against the Kettleblack.
It takes one pass. It is a textbook perfect hit from a bigger bullying-sized squire, and Miles gets blasted from the saddle. The lad gamely tries to stand up and challenge his opponent, but between the fall and his helmet being battered askew and his head hitting the turf when he lands, he actually lurches to his feet and hacks like 3 times at the barrier that divides the 2 lanes, thinking he is fighting his Kettleblack opponent.
Aww.
So he's pretty rattled. Yeah.
Oof.
That was he gets hollered at by Sir Desmond with that command voice of Master at Arms. And he's like, "Easy on, lad, easy there. All right, you got him. Put the sword up. This is me approaching now. Easy, easy, boy." And kind of talking him down, getting him to stop swinging, and then leans in close, says something, and you can see, his shoulders slump as he realizes he cannot go on, and his colors are struck from the field. Kettleblack doesn't like doesn't attack him physically, but if the kid was able to succeed on awareness rolls right now, he would have seen Kettle Black attempting some like persuasion taunt rolls, right? Just sneering at him, snickering, laughing, and like pointing back over to his brother, like, look at this piece of shit. Just being a dick in that Kettle Blackian way, laughing out loud, and that sort of thing. But as the crushed young lad, like literally and figuratively, is led away, he gives the almost sarcastic bow. Like you notice that the Kettle Blacks are going through the motions of honoring the royal family, and they've clearly sucked up to someone, because you've seen them kind of augmenting the Kingsguard, and in fact, the eldest Kettle Black brother is chatting with King Robert during this joust. He turns and leaves as his brother is done, though, because he's a dick. But like they've clearly schmoozed somebody, but you know that if Osney Kettle Black bowed that deeply to anyone else, it would be sarcastic. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going through all the motions of sucking up to the royal family, but there's just an insincerity to it that you can notice, right? So just fucking Kettle Blacks, right?
Fucking Kettle Blacks.
Fucking Kettle Blacks.
Jerks.
And next up, on the far end of the field, comes young Michael Redfort, led by the lean and dangerous Sir Lynn Corbray. Sir Lynn, because he is out of the joust, is just wearing a kind of pirate tunic type of shirt that's largely unlaced, and his black leather pants with the high leather boots, and he's got Lady Forlorn at his belt. Either
Are
way,
you trying
however,
to kill Adam?
I'm certain I don't know what you mean. But he always has Lady Forlorn on him. So even if he's not dressed for a fight, he's ready to murder someone. So he leads out Michael Redfort, who is a stout lad, not much smaller than many of the knights you've seen. And, he's a good 16, 17. And before he slaps his helmet closed, Michael's got a not entirely dissimilar sneer that Lynn Corbray does. Just this kind of overconfident, I can't believe I have to fight this fucking guy. And because, again, you guys all have really fucking high awareness rolls, we're saving a lot of die rolls by just telling you. You hear a high-pitched, you hear a couple high-pitched squeals for any of the squires. Like, even the fucking Kettle Black. And just, young maidens like dashing squires. But you hear one that's a little bit deeper and louder and sincere, and you look over and see the tall and broad-shouldered black-haired lass from the Vale, Maya Stone. And she is cheering, a Michael, a Redfort, woo, and just super loud, super hyped, and waving at him. He does not seem to notice. He doesn't visibly notice, at least. And then, opposite him, comes the looming mass of Oris Waters. Led by
tough decision.
Lady Reyna. So Oris is even bigger on his big fat draft horse intermingled courser, decked out in his very well crafted Tobo Mott made plate mail, and being led by the heir to House Nymerian of Wyvern's Rest, looking very regal, because that's just how she do. So she looks like she's already leading the winner away. She's got that Nymerian tilt to the head just a bit, Michael Redfort is a squire to arguably the most dangerous swordsman in the Vale, and he's said to have gotten the position by being one of the most dangerous young swordsmen in the Vale. Michael Redfort is by default a favorite should things go afoot, people have only seen Oris fight on foot once. And Michael Redfort does it a bit more.
Alright.
But it's your all's call. You know kind of the stats Oris has more than your average bookie does.
So I'm gonna hand the reins back up to Oris and tap him on the leg. When you beat him and you bow to the king, should he be looking in your direction, do not raise your visor.
We will retcon it to do not remove your helm. His visor is, or his helm is all one piece, no visor. He head tilts a bit, but then nods. Sure. He leans over in the saddle, which for most people in armor as heavy as his, it would be kind of precarious. He goes, "Did I do something wrong?"
No, you'd have done nothing wrong.
Just castle folk etiquette, such.
Yes.
All right. He straightens back up. And the joust will commence. This one, because Oris is up against pretty bad dudes, I'm actually also going to roll it out. So give me a second. As we test the pass. There's
Well,
that
feel that-
for him.
I've bet more than I've ever bet. I feel a bit sick.
You feel sick. Oh, definitely.
We got that
Yeah,
for him.
the bludgeon weapon I think is gonna be the best when he goes to foot.
Reroll that. All right, so we got. Damn it, lost a die. All right, it's gone forever. Three. So we have
What a little machine there.
we have a 19 against a 19 on the opening lance shattering pass. Both of them are very, very solid hits. 5. Oh man, that was a pretty good roll. Glad that wasn't your attack, Shulka. Nothing. Game face is on. Don't worry about it. All right. The stay in saddle rolls are a 24 to a 20. Redfort. So they both stay in the saddle perfectly just fine. Redfort with a bit more on the grace. Oh no, actually sorry. 2018 advantage Oris by 2. I forgot he only keeps 3. So they both stay in the saddle quite handily after a bone-jarring first pass. We wind up for the second pass. Oh, that's not a great roll. 3. Okay.
This is Rusty showing off his poker face.
You don't know which ones I'm rolling for in which order,
No, but
so I'm
you're
allowed to
certainly
mutter
not
and
reserved.
give play-by-play. You said you loved that about me.
I didn't say I didn't.
Mummy, Daddy, don't fight.
With an 18 against a 24, in the second pass, Oris gets the upper hand.
Yes.
So, ride tests.
I'm genuinely really nervous.
That is okay. And stay in the saddle 1d4. All right. Oris neatly makes the track back towards Lady Reyna, and with a 5-3-2-1, 5-3-2-1-1 on his dice. Michael Redfort does not. That is his stay in the saddle roll. So Oris has unhorsed him. And 1 second. So it's base damage of 4, 5, 6, 7. Charge makes it 9. Powerful makes it 12. So that's 12 points of damage that armor does not help with.
Oh gosh.
So even on the first pass, Redfort took some damage, but take a breather, he'd be fine. But on the second pass, yeah, he has to take an injury just to get back to his feet. But he does so without hesitation. And you hear, like, it's an audible gasp, because you guys aren't real far from the Vale contingent. It's Miranda Royce and her friend Maya Stone. Because she's with Miranda, Maya's on the noble side of things. And you hear, oh, yay! And then a cheer as he kind of gathers himself. And Oris trots back over to you and just holds out one giant gauntleted hand. Your options are his warhammer, his mattock, which is a type of axe, or his big-ass war spear, which is just a boar spear. All three of them are fairly comparable damage. The hammer is 1 point less damage, but has bludgeoning. And it's actually bludgeoning 2. Or sorry, shattering it's called, not bludgeoning. So it's shattering 2 on the hammer.
I like that.
Otherwise, they're all about the same. So it is Reyna's choice.
I'm making a quick d6 roll.
Okay.
One,
It should be the.
like, on evens, I lean towards giving him the hammer. Okay?
However you want to decide it. You are his squire.
I give him the hammer.
Yes.
Do, 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 do,
All right.
Give him the hammer.
My pride is overwhelming my common fucking sense.
All right.
Not the hammer.
So, Michael Redfort has a large shield and a well-crafted longsword that looks castle forged. Oris's hammer is not. Oris's weapons were all chosen by the cheapest things with the powerful trait. So it's the big simple hammer that he also uses to pound in spikes and shit around camp. The back end is still spiked, but it's a tool as much as a weapon, and he also keeps his shield. And he dismounts neatly and has the initiative, and will go take a swipe at Michael Redfort. All right, Blood of the Andals reroll. Wow, that's a really fucking good reroll.
Is the royal contingent paying attention to this portion of?
Oh yeah, I mean, the Robert Baratheon likes watching people fight.
Okay.
If he's so he's watching the fight. So Oris is choked up on the hammer some, so that it's nimbler than it normally would be, because he's fighting against somebody that's a renowned swordsman. Even with that, so he's not perhaps getting all of his power in it, and he's keeping his shield handy and is ready, yada yada yada. That is a 21 to hit against a combat defense of 7. Oris only has 1 destiny point, and he does not like to spend them, so he will not get the extra degree of success. That's still 3. So in one swing, Michael Redfort no longer has a shield because it's got shattering 2. The default shield adds 2 points of defense. So one swing, Michael Redfort brings his shield up in a fine block. You know, blocking is an active pursuit that would have done handiwork against a long sword. But instead, Oris drives the spike end into the shield, and then he twists and wrenches and pulls with his whole body, which you might remember is a lot, and just the shield falls apart in splinters and is functionally gone. And also, it does some damage, because that was 3 degrees of success with a damage. Some. By some, I mean 24. Because that's 3 degrees. So, that's a wound and no shield on Michael, who stumbles back from the blow, clutching his arm to his shield arm to his chest, to hold it still the way knights do when they've taken an injury to the wrist or forearm. That said, Michael Redfort is a proud young sumbitch, and he is gonna go at it. He has fighting of that, long blades of that, and expertise long blades. Plus an aim action, which I forgot for Oris, but whatever. That is a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, he is not keeping 4s for his bonus dice, so he has rolled pretty fucking well. 15, 5, 26. Talented fighting makes it a 27. Against his combat defense 10, blah blah blah. Oris takes a wound. That's gonna be the quickest way to dodge that much damage. So
Alright.
as Oris is recovering, he's recovering from wrenching the hammer away more than from the swing itself. And as Oris is doing that recovery, young Michael kind of ducks around Oris's shield, going around his left side, and he does a draw cut on the back of Oris's leg that, with a castle forged blade, were it not nominally blunted for a tourney fight, would cripple someone. It's a Lynn Corbray move, right? It's a single slash to end a fight taught by a guy with a Valyrian steel sword. The blade comes away bloody, because that's just enough degrees of success with that base damage. Well, obviously it'd be injury instead of wound, because Oris has a really fucking high endurance. He takes an injury instead of a wound, because he has 15 fucking health. But because he took an injury or wound, Berserker kicks in, and Oris gets a free attack.
Oof.
Oofed.
Okay,
I feel
so
bad almost.
that's 66554 on those dice.
Whoa.
So, Michael Redfort takes another wound,
He's gonna
and
return to jam.
Crap. I don't know that I could defeat Oris in combat.
Oris is
I don't
rolling
ever
very
want to
well,
try.
You
but
think
he has
so?
a base damage of 8 with this hammer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's doing work.
Oh,
So
hammers are terrifying in this game.
Oris stumbles, and like favors that left leg, that has been cut. Perhaps not as wicked a draw cut as it could have been, because Oris is in pretty heavy armor. But he retaliates with that Berserker, and then it is Oris's action, so he takes aim for a bonus die. Yikes. So 66544 on the dice that time. We're just gonna call it, because that is a third wound, and he's now also at -4 armor. So yeah, that was pretty brutal on both sides, as Michael Redfort goes for a career-ending injury in retaliation for his second favorite shield, and then Oris just wades in and forehand, backhand, threatens an overhand in the time that it takes Michael Redfort to yield after being battered to the ground, and links of chainmail are visibly flying through the air.
Holy shit.
Because he also just knocked his plate from armor rating 10 to armor rating 6 in that. So he yields pretty quickly. Yeah, when it was, they both just rolled really fucking good once they got on foot. Yeah, like they were just rolling really, really good dice. So yeah, that was brutal and quickly over, which is kind of how it should go with two people that are really good at damaging other people because of whatever's wrong with them on the inside, where their heart should be. Oris wins.
Aw.
A literal
Yay!
crushing victory over Michael Redford.
That aged
Um,
me by about 5 years.
Who, Oris does accept the yield. The hammer is overhead, and it cocks back just a bit, like he's fucking thinking about it. As you notice that he's just got like the toes of his left leg on the floor, like he's favoring the leg visibly, like he thinks about it. But then he kind of drops the hammer so that it falls through his hand, and he chokes up on it, and it is no longer quite the threat. Yada yada yada. And he offers Redford his shield hand to help him up. As a show of, I trust you're not going to try and run me through just now. And Redford is... Actually, fuck it. Let's make a will roll real quick, because it's also a bastard. Okay. Redford takes his help to stand up. He stops for a second and gives a look past Oris towards Lynn Corbray, and then accepts the hand up. And then Redford kind of stops and remembers his courtesies, bows to the king, still does not pay any attention to the bastard girl who is right near you lot. But he bows to the king, he bows to Lady Reyna as the head of the house that he has been vanquished by, and then turns and leaves. Oris stops, kind of like, okay, what do I do now? All right, I'm not going to do that part. Okay. And then he turns and drops to one knee quickly towards the throne and kind of bows down, and then uses the butt of his hammer to help himself get back to his feet on the one leg that's all a little bit limpy, and then makes his way over towards you to get his horse back and stuff. And he's scowling. He's kind of trying to like twist in his armor and kind of look back. And yeah, that was a pretty nasty strike, but he's got endurance 5, so it wasn't as nasty as it could have been. So that does it for the Squire's Joust for the day.
All right, I'm going to, if he walks, then I lead the horse with him. But I'm like, you're going to need to get your leg looked at. You did excellent out there. I'm very proud of you.
It's just a scratch, but fine, milady. He consents to be led off, because if you don't lead him towards the Maester's tents, he knows Bess is going to come out here and embarrass him in front of everybody by like throwing biscuits at him and picking him up and carrying him over there. So he would make his way towards the Maester's tent. Bessa, for her part, is cheering uproariously. She's opposite you guys over on the small folk side because they ran out of stuff to sell, and that's kind of their excuse to hang out with the highborns. So she's over on the small folk side, but she's like leaning over the railing in a pretty, pleasingly fashion for those of you inclined to such tracts of flea bottom land. But she's like, way over the railing, cheering and waving her little hanky and stuff. And as the lot of you on the highborn side, like you're watching Oris and Lady Reyna leave, you see Maya Stone's broad shoulders kind of slump as Michael Redfort just leaves, and she's still like hollering and all that, and she's waving a little hanky also, and he's just gone, and she kind of slumps, and then you see her hand the borrowed hanky back to Miranda Royce, who pulls her into like a sideways hug, like, right,
I
go.
want to head over
good for
there
him.
and talk to her if possible.
Sure. I mean, they're like 5 people away from you guys. Like
Yeah.
right there. And
I'll politely bow to the Royces, give them my respects.
and as a reminder, this is the Royces of the Gate of the Moon, not the Royces of Runestone. So
Oh, okay.
Miranda is the head of house that is present. She is the only child of, or only daughter of them, and the men and sons are back home. So she's kind of the representative of the house, and she's kind of cooing protectively over Maya. Um, and with her other hand, she's like waving for a thing of wine, like off to the other side. She's like, yes, yes, bring a drink.
As I approach, I'm going to smile and greet both of them. Lady Royce?
Maya kind of tosses her head, that like defiant horseish head toss, of like nothing. I'm fine. I'm nothing, right? And then kind of like, and she straightens up, and the Lady Royce gives you a very polite little giggle and smile, and pulls out a little fan, as befits a highborn lady at this type of day, and she goes, "Oh, Sir Lucaris, wasn't it?"
Yes. Forgive my intrusion.
No apology is needed, save for not introducing yourself to me earlier. I know you by repute alone. Titter, titter, titter.
Well, half of what you've heard, I'm sure, is an exaggeration. The other half is a lie. That said, our bastard seems to have defeated the Redfort boy through sheer strength alone. I intended to send them over a casket of our wine. You wouldn't have somebody free to deliver that, would you? I look at Stone.
Ooh.
She goes, "Oh, I can carry a cask of wine. I've tucked many a spare under my arm when the ropes have failed, all the way to the Eyrie. I'm sure I can carry one across a tourney ground."
You or whoever. I just figured it would be a nice excuse to make some friends. So there is one available if you'd like to take it over to him. Or whoever.
Lady Miranda gives a polite little nod. She goes, "We'll send someone by your pavilion tent later this afternoon." And then she kind of glances over your shoulder to the empty tourney lane. Because I believe the excitement is done for the day, isn't it? It's dreadfully difficult, me trying to keep track of all these handsome knights and squires, but I think they're finished for the day.
I suspect you're right, lady. Thank you.
They are. This was the last scheduled thing for the day.
How old
give
is
her a polite
Miranda?
bow and head over to the tent.
18, 19-ish.
Awesome.
Again, enough of you have like basic repute and breeding and status. You know that she was married rather young, and she is a widow now. Those are the level of details you got. It was a humble cousin of a noble Vale house. About 4 times her age when they wed.
Fucking hell.
Ew.
I will leave the open invitation that anybody at her pavilion is welcome to come on by. We have the open party pavilion, so
You know.
The party pavilion, that's us.
we got Lugai, we've got wine, we got everything.
That's all you need for a good time, right? Lugai and wine.
Yeah.
Don't forget those
All right.
sausage biscuits.
Yeah. We got once
And
they
tracts
restock,
of
we got
land.
all kinds of baked goods too. So that does it for that whole stinking day of joust.
I made quite a lot today.
Yeah.
Like, a lot. Like, over 300 gold dragons today.
Nice. That's a wealth point and a half.
Yep.
So we are going to, if there is specific and particular roleplay that people have planned, you may do so. I didn't get notes from anybody about particular, specific, etc., etc. So my assumption is most of you guys are taking it easy and resting. Um,
I
That-
need to.
yeah, that for most of you, that would also mean sleeping at the green tree instead of the pavilion tonight. Um, it's just a more comfortable bed and there's more food and stuff. Not saying like you have to, but you guys kind of roughed it because we had a long night of socializing and hanging out last time. But I know by default, most of you are at the green tree. For tomorrow in game, it's 2 rounds of the joust, which is just a handful that is left, and then 2 rounds of Squire's joust. So tomorrow's jousting should go fairly quickly, depending on what kind of shape everybody's in after a good night's sleep, lots of food, attention from maesters, etc. So Kevin, I think you had a finger up first, and then Erica did.
I'm up for that scene with Erica if she is.
Yeah, let me just. I wanted a point of clarification on what you said, Rusty.
Sure.
I think there's only 1 round of the Squire's Joust left.
There is a second Squire. We have not been following both brackets of the Squires.
Okay.
And our Royce has just been winning every round enough that I know I saw who he was up against. I'm like, he's just gonna fucking win this.
Okay, that's fine.
So you guys have.
I didn't realize that was going on.
The amount, to cut down on the amount of jousting, because of how you guys got scattered throughout the brackets of the adult joust.
It's fine.
And because they matter more, we've been following the whole adult joust. We've only been following half the Squire's joust. So that's the discrepancy.
That clears that up. And
Yep.
2 rounds of the regular joust tomorrow is pretty rough. So, like, if you win the first one, all those penalties are going to carry over. And
Yes,
that makes
they
that
are.
final round
Wow.
really vicious.
Because it's all supposed to be practice for warfare, right? They dress it up, they put some pretty ribbons on it, and remember, most jousts, people get knocked off their horse and they're done, right? So you're like,
Yeah,
oof, that took the wind out of me.
yeah.
But Robert likes people working hard, so if you go all in and take this stuff.
He doesn't like people working hard. He likes people murdering each other.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not murder if the king says it's legal. Words mean things.
Okay.
If it helps
Kings get to
Robert,
say-
Robert doesn't like to work hard.
All right. Well, then I know what my strategy is for tomorrow's things. And
Do you remember who you're up against tomorrow?
you never told me, but it's the same strategy no matter what.
Okay. We will find out tomorrow then.
Yes.
Get a good night.
That's
So
the
you, Vannon and Bela, we're going to do some role playing. Vannon, set the scene. Is this on the way to the green tree, at the green tree? What's the plan there?
If possible, this is while I'm still in the healer's tent.
Take it away. Have your fun.
So, you coming to visit Vannon then, Bela?
Yeah. Yeah, before I'm on the way to the Greenbrier. Oh my god, what is going on?
Nobody's paying attention or anything. You guys are fine. Don't worry about
Okay.
Whatever happened.
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Adam,
Really, just for
Is
no
that, like,
reason, my awareness is
entire-
still high, Rusty. Remember that?
Yeah, so I have like a, not like a cask, but like a horn of wine that I'll bring for Vannon.
So as you're stepping in, you can hear, "Brothers, oh brothers, my days here are done. Dornishman's taken my life." And then look up.
Bravo.
Oh,
Well,
oh my lady.
don't stop there. Don't let me interrupt.
I think I'd better.
Mm.
That song's all about the end.
Isn't that the best part?
Oh, eh?
Well, we know this song. I brought you some wine.
Oh, you are too kind, my lady.
How are
Have
you feeling?
Something. Did you know
Hmm.
that the milk of the poppy is wonderful?
So I've been told.
I've never had occasion for it.
How does it feel? Wonderful?
It's like it hurts, but I don't care.
Hmm.
And sometimes when I move something too much, it becomes queasy.
Oh,
Like my hand. If I make a fist, my hand feels sick.
your hand feels sick. I felt something similar on the wine before, but maybe not my hand feeling sick.
I wonder that I can partake, given this implication.
Maybe the wine might be too much for you.
I am sorry, my lady.
Sorry for what?
I just. I only wanted to keep up with you.
You did more than keep up with me. You won that horse race this morning.
Yes,
It was I that couldn't keep up with you.
reckless courage, my lady, nothing more. And a good horse.
Mm.
You should have a faster horse.
It's a sand steed from home.
That
Mirage has been my horse for 3 years now.
we must reward your horse. You- I'm sorry, my lady. I don't think I'm entirely of my own mind.
That's all right. You just need to rest a little bit, and things will be okay in the morning.
But I shall walk away from all of this a rich man.
Oh, indeed, all of us shall.
Rich enough, perhaps.
Rich enough? Rich enough for what?
So, though coin can't buy a name, perhaps it can buy a tower, or build a tower, or a place with a view you would like.
I'm sure we can arrange that. A place beautiful on the lake, perhaps?
I'm
Oh, this is amazing.
you. Have you given thought to the husband you will have by way of the Queen of Thorns?
Probably some Northman she'll set me up with, and I'll be locked away in some tower. And I don't know. I don't want to think about that.
So the blood of the first men is not appealing to you.
The blood. I don't care about the blood. I just don't want to be a prisoner to some man in some tower in the north.
Oh, my lady, no one could keep you a prisoner.
That's right, but I'm afraid they'll try.
But you've a name which coin cannot buy.
I have a
Oh,
name until I get married. If I leave Dorne, it's done. This is all I have, right? Like if I get married off to someone from the Reach, or the Marshes, or the North, or King's Landing, even, I won't be able to fight anymore.
You have the luxury of only a name. Common boys can laugh at me.
common boys can't win the tournament. They can't win the writing competition. They can't make it as far into the tournament that you did.
Not enough to impress some.
Maybe you're not trying to impress the right people.
So have you seen my father, incidentally?
Oh,
Uh,
you
Wait.
fool.
Do I know who his father is? Out of
Yeah,
this?
that's absolute open knowledge. It's
Okay.
Lord Tydos Blackwood.
Okay. I can't recall having seen him.
Mhm. He's the second person I'd like to impress here today.
I'm. Well,
You guys.
I can't say whether he would be impressed or not. That's on him. And if he can't see that, then he's a damned fool.
You know, I've thought long about it in the wilds. That bastards carry the sins of their fathers for them. It makes us the least of the great, but not so high that we're immune to the lesser.
Not entirely sure what you mean, but like I said, if your father can't see the accomplishments you've made, then that's on him. 'Cause we can see your accomplishments. We're proud of you.
Well,
I'm proud of you.
Aww.
Yay!
Then I only need one thing from him.
What's that?
A name to take to your father.
Grandfather.
Grandfather.
Ooh.
Do I?
I'm...
Bela gets really kind of like red and a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, so
Like-
does Vannon.
But like in an embarrassed way, not like in a wow, this went really bad way. And so she starts like, I think I hear someone calling for me.
I hear it too.
Yeah, here's some wine.
Wine.
Thank you so much.
I need to be going into town before it gets too late and vagabonds accost me and I kill them on accident. So
Can't
I
have another murder on the name.
yes, we'll see each other in the morning.
Yes.
Yes. And then I turn around and I leave at a pace that's kind of quick, but not like running, but like awkwardly quick.
Like you
As-
want to run, but you're trying not to.
Yeah.
As she leaves, just start whispering the lyrics to myself. But what does it matter? For all men must die.
That's a cheery tune.
Scene.
Ah!
Ash, you gonna be okay?
I'm legit doing this for Ash and Felicia at this point because I'm loving it.
It's awesome.
So invested.
Oh, it took every cell in my body to not just have Adam just poke his head around the door, just go like, kiss her, you fool.
Kiss the girl.
In case you guys are wondering, Ash is like the biggest romantic.
I love love.
So, we got about 30 minutes to go. And there's not a whole ton of time to move on towards tomorrow's stuff. So what we're gonna do is actually go ahead and roleplay more for the evening. Over in the pavilion, Maya Stone will come by and shoulder a small-ish cask of wine. She didn't bring a cart or a wheelbarrow or anything. Oris, who's over there cleaning and checking on his armor, even though he used it for one attack, basically like it's one thing, but he's checking the straps on that leg and all, and he's kind of watching over the wine. Again, you all have high enough awareness rolls. You notice that Oris's gaze kind of lingers a bit as she shoulders this cask and walks off with it effortlessly. And then he goes back to working on everybody's armor. Oris will spend the bulk of his afternoon/evening working on Vanon's armor. The damage turns out is primarily cosmetic. You don't have to actually like go pay anything to get it back, but it's replacement stuff. So the armor will get fixed, and he consents to getting a bandage around his leg. It's just below his knee. It's like right there at the back of the knee. He was going for a hamstringing, maiming type of cut, but Oris was armored enough and moved away from it enough, yada yada, that it's not terribly bad. It's a flesh wound. So he will be available at camp. So that leaves who doing what? Yeah, like who wants to do stuff? All right, so we got Lucaris.
Yeah. I'll approach Oris. I'll look down at the cask of ale that or wine that was missing, and look up at him and go, Oris, who took the wine?
Some girl, bastard girl. She said you told her she could. I figured most girls wouldn't lie about you letting some girl take some.
No, you're supposed to be better than this. That was not the wine she was to take. It was that wine. Go chase her down and go let her know.
He gives you a long, suspicious look for a moment, but then he hauls himself to his feet.
Look at a little grin.
He does not have a terribly high awareness. It's not like low, and he's not like stupid, but he does have like
You know what?
a bit of a penalty.
This is my fault.
Like I said,
just take the other cask and go take it to him.
He'll go. Like he gives you a long and openly suspicious look. Like, fuck. But you maintain a straight face long enough, and I know what your deception is and stuff versus his awareness. So he does give you a long, suspicious look, but then he hauls himself to his feet, grabs a second cask, and off he goes after her. She's got a bit of a head start, though, so you likely won't be there when he catches up to her. But he will do as he is
My
told.
work here is done.
So also at the pavilion, Lady Reyna and young Adam probably have coins to count and that sort of thing, and the future of the house to discuss.
No,
and you guys,
I want to know what the hell Luke thinks he's doing.
I was gonna say, and you guys see that, like you see Luke say something to Oris, and Oris grabs a cask and
Weren't we at
off.
weren't we at the inn, not the pavilion?
Well, Oris was back at the pavilion.
Okay.
I'm saying like later on in the evening, overnight. My assumption is it will be Oris and Adam at the pavilion, everybody else back at the Green Tree. But the pavilion is still like the default ground where the armor gets fixed up, the horses are cared for, the normal squirey shit happens.
Got it.
So yeah, like this is still late afternoon, early evening, figure people are still hanging out and eating and yada yada.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He's
you
gonna
see-
grin and get some wine if anybody wants to question him.
Yeah, and like I said, you see Luke go over, say something to Oris. Oris kind of rushes off with a cask of wine after Maya Stone.
Luke?
Sister, yes?
Where did you send Oris?
Oh, that fucking bastard girl took the wrong wine. I sent Oris to go. But you know, last spring's vintage wasn't that good, and the one before it was better. And I wanted them to have the good one. He fucked up, really. He should have given him the right one.
All right. Well, good catch then.
I mean, my honor by the 7, I'm not going to send them off with inferior wine, and he should know that. He's going to be a squat.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to catching. How was Venom?
Oh, I don't know. I sent Bela after.
What's gotten into you?
Why, sister, I don't appreciate the insinuation.
Alright then, I'll keep my insinuations to myself.
I am a knight of the 7. I will do what I have to do.
Very well. I will trust your judgment until I don't.
Bad call. Give her a little grin, and I'm like, drink the rest of my wine.
Right.
So Adam, what are you up to over here in this and counting coins and enjoying the afternoon and stuff? Like, how much of that was Adam paying attention to and stuff?
I mean, I guess that's the kind of thing. Like, his ears would definitely prick up at that because that seems odd. When he saw Luke go and talk to Maya Rivers and Miranda Royce earlier, but probably didn't actually hear what that was about.
Right?
So now that what you sent her wine to what?
Hi, Adam.
Yeah. What's this with the wine? Are you? I mean,
We have wine. We need allies. I give out wine.
are you sure this is about allies?
Allies? Love? Lust? It's all the same thing, really.
I'm no expert in any of those things, but I perceive that to be untrue of sorts.
Well, you need to spend more time in the city.
I mean,
White Harbor, though, I suppose. That wasn't.
I would say that the Wills and the Lugases are allies, but I don't perceive any lust going on. Possibly love, but
You haven't seen the way Raina looks at Will, have you?
who looks at Will?
Lady Raina, our sister?
Me?
Really?
Will?
Don't say it out loud.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I thought she liked Sir Garland.
She can like more than one person.
Well, I suppose that's true. Well, are you sure?
I'm fairly sure
Right.
Will has a
He's hot.
je ne sais quoi about him.
Right. I see.
He's hot. He has a special way. Let's just say he has the maiden's favor.
Right. No, that's fine. I'm not here to judge. What's this got to do with sending wine to hang on.
Adam, do you really want to know the truth?
Yes, that would be nice. Because
I was kinda hoping to,
honestly, because look, I want to learn.
Just okay. I was kind of hoping to bed the stone girl, but I saw the way Oris looked at her, figured I'd help him out.
You You shouldn't have done that.
Should have done what? Which part of it? Because morally, they're both very different. Both aspects of that.
Yes.
They're like the same side of the same coin. And they're
One
both
coin goes in
bastards.
my wallet, one goes in his wallet, sister.
I'm saying that's a bad idea. We'll see what
And
happens.
then Oris seems to be taking a while, doesn't he?
Right.
As
Dad,
if
I've got
on
coins to
cue, as if on cue, Oris comes back, cheerfully gnawing on like a giant fucking turkey leg. No cask of wine in sight.
Well, never mind. I've got coins to
But
count.
just kind of humming to himself, occasionally, stretching his leg out a little bit as he, every couple of steps, and just comes back over and has a seat, at maybe 10 feet away from you guys or whatever, where he's idly working on armor, and he just kind of sits and stretches his injured leg out in front of him and just chews thoughtfully on a giant honking turkey leg that looks like a chicken leg in his hand, and next to his face
A little
holes.
capon. Hello, Oris.
Huh?
How's your leg?
which one? And he holds up the turkey leg and then points with it at his injured leg.
The one that got injured. Well,
It's all right.
Or you know what? You
Just a
can
scratch.
you can tell me both. That's fine.
Well, I mean, one's just got a scratch and the other one's got about 4 good bites out of it. But luckily, the turkey leg in worse shape.
But which is which?
Did,
Well,
did-
I don't
did-
remember Red Fort trying to gnaw on me much, so I guess my leg's better off than this poor fucking turkey bastard.
No, I suppose he would have a bit of a job, wouldn't he?
I'm gonna watch Adam very closely as this goes down.
Did Luke's wine get delivered okay?
Yeah, she just grabbed the second and like it weren't nothing. I haven't seen many girls as tall and strong as her.
No, it's quite unusual.
Not many at
And,
all.
is that the kind you like, or strong girl?
I don't know. I like all types of girls, I guess. But just saying, most of them I gotta look way down on. Kind of nice not to.
Fair. I kind of step away now and let Adam take this.
Just abandon me, why don't you? And what are you out of character? What are you leaving me to?
Whatever happens, I don't know.
He's like, I don't care. The important thing is I leave.
The important thing is I instigated it, and now I go.
What's Reyna up to all this?
I'm furiously thinking, like, There could be steam and smoke coming out of my ears right now as my brain churns. Because I just asked you a question that you're answering.
Yes. If anyone, after meeting them yesterday morning, or was it this morning? Fuck me, has it been a long day? Anyway, if after meeting them anyone asked around even the slightest little bit, it is pretty open knowledge who her father is. She is not a formally acknowledged bastard. That's a whole different thing. But everyone knows.
See, I think by this point, Adam would probably have managed to put two and two together once Lucas said that he was interested in Maya. Would have.
That alone means
gone,
nothing,
okay.
just by the way.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But look, he's a trusting little fool, and will believe you. So it's going to be like, okay. So you just undermined yourself, okay? Yeah. But I think we were already talking about how
Some of you had commented and noticed that there was a similarity between Oris and Maya. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
For the record,
I guess-
just real quick, if at any point Vannon and or Bela want to return from some time in the Maester tent, you guys can, because we're just kind of abstracting the afternoon and evening here. So, just as an aside. But continue, Ash.
Hey,
It just Oris, I don't really like looks helplessly at Raina like, did I say anything?
If you want some turkey, you can just ask Adam. I mean, Lord knows you fed enough small folk these last few days. Sir Adam the Archer, that's all anyone talks about. Plus, I mean, Bessa made a ton of coin off that Garland fella, paying whatever it was he paid in your name. So, if you care for some turkey, you can have it.
We have been doing quite well with the coin, but no, I that turkey is all yours, Oris. Enjoy it. You've more than earned it. What?
I'm gonna show up at the pavilion at this point with a turkey leg myself.
Bella!
I follow after
Hey.
a moment later, see everybody, and I'm like,
Bannon! Come here.
hello.
How are you feeling?
Nothing that won't mend, my lord.
I need some wine.
Yes,
We
Yeah,
have
wine.
it.
That's
Yeah,
great, 'cause
wine.
There's wine here.
Whew.
Bela, here you go. My hand
Yeah.
one. Get her a horn of
Thanks.
wine.
Whew.
Good things those come in pairs.
The wine and the turkey legs. Yes.
It's like the gods meant it to be that way.
Right.
So,
It's
Adam
perfect.
seems flustered to you.
Who?
Is it 'cause they're legs?
No.
I'm sorry.
Turkey
I'll
legs.
go. I'll eat the leg somewhere else if
No,
it's
no,
the
it's-
leg thing makes
No,
you
No, stay here.
uncomfortable.
Don't be silly.
Oh, Horace. Oh, you sweet summer child.
He's not grinning like that. That part was me. He was just
Oris.
earnest and concerned.
Boris, how injured were you from your joust earlier?
That's just a scratch. Gotten worse from fleas before I was even 5.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like a nasty cut on your thigh.
You should probably let
You been
Adam
alright?
examine it real quick. Get the armor off.
His armor is off. He's just wearing his kind of vest tunic
Oh,
thing.
Look,
type
just
of breeches.
just because you lose your trousers all the time doesn't mean you have to steal anyone else's.
Well, speaking of treasure and salving wounds and taking the sting out, pull out a bag of coins and put it in Oris's hand if he has a free one.
Huh?
You, my friend, are an excellent wager. You deserve at least this.
What for?
Winning.
All right, but you lot already helped me pay for the armor and such I needed to joust in the first place.
Because this could all be a profitable enterprise, and you're going to need some money for whatever, celebrating a new horse, what have you.
If you're gonna make the poor man rich, at least let Adam examine and make sure he's not injured.
I'm
Sorry.
telling you,
Of course.
just a scratch. Honestly, it's not much worse than what those little Frey bastards did. Just
Luke,
Hi.
how you doing?
Oh.
You took a pretty big hit too.
Who?
Luke?
Who? You, Luke.
Yeah, I'm fine. Just
Oris, for his part, wedges the turkey leg into his mouth so he's got both hands free, and then kind of shrugs and ties the coin purse to his belt.
He'll look at it later and then he's gonna freak the fuck out.
That's gold, yo.
Like, he's assuming it's copper and silver, so he's just like, oh, whatever.
Also, he's not even looking at it.
Not important to him. Well,
Well, maybe. They didn't hit that hard.
until he looks at it.
It's only got 14 coins in it. It's what the
Uh,
coins are made of that matter.
It's not that it's not important. It's that hedge knights have a habit of not showing off their wealth and counting it where people can see. He goes, oh, it's a pouch of coins. I'll count it later. Instead of letting everyone see it, I'll just put it, so it's just the pattern of growing up in Flea Bottom and the squire to a hedge knight is, I'm not going to count my money out here in the open where anybody can see. So, yeah.
No, I'm just grinning at him because I want to imagine what it's going to be like when he does count it.
Meanwhile, like during that exchange, Adam has gone from surprise to silently fizzing with like barely contained rage, and then just
Oh my gosh.
like something about that interaction has really fucked him off, and he just silently stands up and like storms up the stairs.
I offend him.
Is it the leg thing? I didn't mean nothing by it. It just meant, like, if he's sensitive about legs and such, I could.
It wasn't the leg.
Like, did you just get what he meant by that? Because, like, he was legitimately like,
Yeah.
because it's a leg.
And that's
Like-
not what it was,
No.
but
I don't think that's it. Or was it?
could have been.
I'm gonna follow after
I
Adam.
feel like he's mad at me. Bela, go check on him, please, for me, please.
Yeah, of course.
While they're having
Or
a
I
scene,
suspect this is my issue.
I'm going to discuss with Lady Reyna. I've done very, very well with the gambling. I could hire some extra guards while we recuperate. What with a few people out to get us.
Let me
We
think on
can,
that while they
yeah.
do their scene.
Exactly. That's for
if,
later.
if it ends up happening, we can also handle it off screen as I look up some wages and stuff.
You know it.
So, back over to the fleeing Adam Dennett and the chasing Lady Bela.
Nymeria.
Oh, not Adam
Sorry.
Danny. He's dead.
He's dead.
Wrong Adam.
Yeah, remember Adam Dennett got murdered by Reyna?
Yeah. My bad.
Ah!
Sorry.
Time she murdered someone.
I
fleeing, the fleeing Adam Nymerian and the chasing Lady Bela. I apologize.
Now keep in mind, we're still in the
Yeah, it's
we're not at
We're in
the
the
inn,
pavilion,
so you
yeah.
probably
It's
just
a-
stormed off.
yeah. Like, did you
Yeah.
storm off into the tent?
Yeah.
Basically, like where you've been, like doing your bedroom, this type of thing. That's your kind of haven where you've been sleeping.
Yeah.
So, all right.
My happy place.
Okay, I'm going to enter after you. Everything okay, Adam? What's going on?
No, I'm I'm fine, Bela. I'm fine.
You,
Just
you, you're upset.
why did they have to do that?
What?
Okay.
What? Who had to do what?
Like, bloody Luke and Vannon just interfering with Oris's life.
What? What?
Well,
Giving him some money? I mean, to be fair, we've interfered pretty well too. I mean, like, grandfather practically foisted him on us. I mean, we needed the help, yeah, but could have been anyone.
But I had a thing to give him too, and now it looks rubbish next to Vannon's. Like, I saw how much Vannon bet on him. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And well, I took Oris's money that he gave me to look after, and I bet it on him in the Squire's Joust, and like doubled his money, and I thought that would be a nice thing to give him back, to say, like, we believe in you.
It is a nice thing.
But it's not as nice as all the fucking gold he's just been given.
Oh my god! Look, like, Adam, do you listen to what Oris says? Do you know what Oris cares about? Adam, I put my hand on him.
Oh, damn!
Adam, do you listen to what Oris says ever? Like, when has he ever cared about money? Like, does that seem important to him? Like if you want something that Oris is gonna care about, it's not this sack of gold sitting next to him.
No, it's gonna be Maya Stone that Luke's trying to set him up with.
You don't know that. Like, Luke couldn't set up anyone. You know what Luke's after.
He told me he was doing it. He said that he was gonna go for it, but then he saw how Oris looks at her, so he sent him over with a cask of wine for her.
They look pretty similar. Like, they could have, like, the same dad. That's like that. Yeah. Are you sure that's not what he was trying to do? He's just they could be related.
I don't know if Luke actually really believes that, or if Raina's even told him. It might just be like us that. No, I don't know, and we can't say anything because.
It's all right. Look. Obviously, you care about, like, making a difference in Oris's life, and what I'm saying is, gold isn't the thing that Oris is caring about. You need to find out what that is, and then make a difference in that way. Because gold isn't it. He's never cared about it. Like, he gets sheepish about it, of course, but he just never had money, so he doesn't care about it. Like, he just find the thing that he cares about and give that to him.
Aww.
Yeah.
Money's just money. Like, once you have enough of it to live on, you're fine. And Oris has always had that. And this new money doesn't change anything. He doesn't care about it. You can do this.
I know. It just sometimes feels like I try to be his friend, but like him and Vannon are, they're both bastards, and Vannon's a knight, so they've got all this stuff in common, and I'm just like a useless cripple with like who's just around, how they've got stuff in common they can talk about, and like and I don't. I'm sorry.
Alright,
Like,
no.
You probably think I'm really stupid.
Of course not. Don't don't be silly. It's not stupid. Look, you're the youngest of our family, and you've been away for a while, and things have been a little bit unfair to you. Life's been unfair. That's okay. Like, life happens. But we need to move forward a little bit on this. Like, sure, maybe Vannon and Oris have some things in common. Yeah. But Oris knows what it's like to have misfortune placed upon him. He's always overlooked for things. Like, even though he's big, like, no one expects much out of him, and I imagine you feel that way sometimes too. And
So,
like,
well, for different reasons.
well, sure, but that doesn't matter. Like, that's something in common you have. Like, look, you're good at talking to people. Like, you can find out information. Like, you're good with money. You can find. I know you'll be able to find out something that Oris cares about, and that'll be how you can bond with him. Like, he's easy enough to talk to. Like, you got this. You got this. If anyone does, it's you. Like, the rest of us are caught up in everything from here to who knows where, and like, you've got the mind to do this. The rest of us would just get sidetracked with other things and the comings and goings of running the family, and I don't have time to figure out what's going on with Oris, but Oris is going to need some help at some point. Like, clearly you've been good about helping him, or at least finding out some of his background, and it's one of these days he's gonna find out, and he's gonna, like, something's gonna snap in his brain, and I have no idea what to do about that, but you do.
Well, I can try.
You got this.
Thank you.
And I
Wine?
think we're gonna call it there. Bows, everybody.
What a good
as
sister
I
talk.
as I just bragged about this group on Facebook, this just might be the most Sea of Spearsian episode yet, because we had some absolutely brutal knockdown, drag-out fight scenes. We had increasing ramping up tension of both the sexual and violent variety in true Westerosi fashion. We had a little bit of comedy. We had Robert Baratheon hollering and laughing as people got hurt. We had lots of wine. And then we had some unexpected romance and sadness and some knocking it out of the ballpark, acting and singing and stuff from this totally dope-ass crew of people that we got put together. So let's just call it a minute or two early, because I don't think we're going to top that in the next minute or two. That said, lots of us are out of here for Gen Con in the next several days. So if any of our viewers are going to be there, please don't hesitate to hunt us down. Track me down on social media. I've posted my Gen Con schedule a couple of times. And I'm definitely going to be talking up this show at my What's Up with Rusty Zimmerman panel on Friday afternoon. So it'll be a good time to catch up. And maybe if you happen to be there face to face, I might even share a few spoilers as little convention exclusives about some stuff. So, haha, doesn't matter, Ash. You're never going to get to know until it's in character. So we can get those authentic emotional reactions and stuff. Because I know Ash won't.
I'm
Couple
in
of us
last
will be.
case of
I
emotion.
know you are. You're just locked over there in Scotland where we would all kill to be right now. So that means you miss out on some stuff. But everybody, please have an excellent 2 weeks. We will see you back here in 14 days, give or take a couple of hours. And when we get back next week, there are semi-finals of the grown-up joust. And like the finals of the Squires joust, and then we'll be off to a feast where I spent about 20 minutes last night working up the menu of a 10-course meal and a guest list of 30 NPCs that will be at this intimate dinner in
Eat
the
before you
Red
listen.
Keep. So every time a new stage of the meal is introduced, chat will be picking a number between 1 and 30 to see what NPC prompts some action. So that's how we're gonna do that feast in a couple of weeks. And also, Lady Olena, the Queen of Thorns, will be back to throw a little bit of shade at everybody. So we will see you all back here
Bring
again
it
in
on.
2 weeks, and we'll see if episode 10 can be even a little bit better than episode 9. Welcome back to Westeros. We'll see you in 14 days, chat.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.